Chapter 700. I'm convinced, Jean Juma sighed. Li Fan's strength was indeed not just for show. Little Tyrant, chief escort of phenomenal escort agency, fiancé of Alliance Master. Jean Juma counted Li Fan's names. No matter which one, they are all worthy of you. You flatter me. Not at all. I've always been a truthful person. Jean Juma said straightforwardly, it is precisely because of this that our Alliance Master Luo took a fancy to you. Indeed, our Alliance Master has the best eyesight. Li Fan sighed. Fine. This girl is still Luo Shuawu's fangirl. Your Alliance Master Luo has chosen the wrong person. I will not marry her, nor will I have any relationship with your leaning sword Xiao Qingfeng. Li Fan said straightforwardly. But you've already joined Leaning Sword. Jean Juma reminded Li Fan. Have you forgotten? Fuck, I went there under an alias, okay? Li Fan retracted his Black Tiger Emperor aura and explained, back then, it was to resolve your Leaning Sword's crisis, okay? This is only a mission. Don't take it too seriously. It's up to you whether a man's vow should be respected or not. Jean Juma purposely used words to provoke Li Fan. I've only joined Leaning Sword. It's not like I've signed a contract to sell myself. Liao Wuxuang knew that Li Fan was not good at arguing with women. Thus, she stepped forward and helped Li Fan to argue with Jean Juma. Isn't your E-sword a little too overbearing? I heard that there's a dark power in the Jianghu called solipsism. From what I see, your E-sword is no different from solipsism. You're slandering us. You're going too far. You're slandering us. Justice is in the heart. Jean Juma was about to collapse. She realized that she could not win against this woman in an argument. No matter what, Ari's sword will definitely fight for Li Fan's position. Jean Hisao muttered in his heart. Looks like I really have to work together with Ling Yu. Otherwise, they would really be besieged on all sides, with enemies everywhere. Li Fan was such a womanizer. Why did women like him so much? Tsugumi couldn't understand. They're all awake. Let's talk next time. Li Fan felt that others had gotten up, so he straightened his clothes and said, Humph, I won't let you off. All right. Li Fan couldn't do anything to Jean Kumo, so he could only let her be. Brother-in-law, is that girl bothering you again? Murong had also woken up. She walked over and stretched as she asked Li Fan, do you want me to help you get rid of her? Dear sister, why are you so hostile lately? Li Fan couldn't help but pat Murong's head. You're just a little girl, yet you're shouting about killing all day long. What a scandal. Hee, isn't that because brother-in-law has trained me well? Murong held Li Fan's arm, leaned into his bosom, and said with a smile, Renjia wants to protect brother-in-law. You're small, but your ambition is quite big. Li Fan reached out his hand and pinched Murong's nose. Of course. After all, in my heart, you're already brother-in-law. Don't give me that. Your little mouth is so sweet. Did you eat honey? Yeah, brother-in-law. Do you want to try it? Go away. There are so many people here. Stop messing around. That's right. Let's wait for the night when there are fewer people. Li Fan was speechless by Murong's words. Fortunately, Liao Wuxuang was busy preparing for the morning's matter. Otherwise, if she saw this scene, wouldn't the sky turn upside down? While Liao Wuxuang was busy over there, Li Fan saw Bai Jia walking out. This girl also changed into a new set of sportswear. This little girl was originally delicate and pretty, but now she looked a lot more neat and tidy. And Li Fan also put on his previous school uniform. Otherwise, he wouldn't have anything else to wear. Standing in the crowd, he was a bit conspicuous. Everyone was wearing the same logo and color sportswear. Only Li Fan was wearing the black and white school uniform. However, he was originally a star student, so it was impossible for him to be low-key. Bai Jia has rewrapped the shotgun and carried it on her back. She looked at Li Fan from afar. The two of them had a tacit understanding. They seemed to have a lot to say to each other, but they both tacitly hid it in their hearts. The male teacher of experimental number 1 middle school looked exhausted. Carrying a lot of luggage, he came over. Did you not sleep well? Out of politeness, Liao Wuxuang asked. Teacher Liao. Sorry. I've decided to take the students back. But we still have one more day of the competition. The reservation is to go back in the evening. Liao Wuxuang couldn't help but feel a bit strange. I can't. This place is too scary. The male teacher has long lost his fighting spirit. He didn't have the heart to chase after Liao Wuxuang. Right now, he just wanted to leave this damn place and return to experimental number 1 middle school. What kind of students are these from number 2 middle school? Each one of them is like a god. What about today's competition? Liao Wuxuang asked. It's the swimming competition. No more competition. You guys won. The male teacher was about to collapse. These few days of competition made him feel despair. Damn, even a bear and a tiger are here. What else can't they get? All right then, we won't force you guys to stay. I hope there will be a chance to be together next time. Okay. The male teacher said a few perfunctory words. He took all the students and directly left. Bai Jie glanced at Li Fan. She seemed to have something to say, but she hesitated for a moment and turned around to follow the team. In the end, she couldn't say it out loud. They finally left. Lin Yuechan has finished washing up. Clean and beautiful, she walked over and glanced at the leaving Bai Jie and the others. Now we have a lot of free time. You don't seem to like that, Bai Jie. Li Fan couldn't help but ask. It's not that I don't like her. It's just that I can't get along with her. Lin Yuan frankly said, the two of us have been rivals since we were young. She always wants to surpass me. Everyone has a goal for themselves. My goal is to surpass my fiancé. That's a really ambitious goal. Lin Yuhfn dryly laughed twice. But it can't be helped. Li Fan's fiancé is really a powerful woman, the leader of the martial arts world. In this pugilistic world, there are not many people who can be more powerful than her. I also want to practice martial arts. Lin Yuhfn sighed. If only I also know martial arts, that would be great. The world of wuxia is not suitable for you. Li Fan patted Lin Yuhfn's shoulder. Just be at ease and be my accountant. I'm going to die. Fuck you. Lin Yuhfn rolled her eyes at Li Fan. Just when she was about to scold Li Fan, Liao Wuxuang has already clapped her hands, calling everyone to gather. Because number 1 middle school temporarily withdrew, we can use the swimming pool today. Students, let's change into our swimsuits and go to the pool to play. Thinking of Teacher Liao in a swimsuit, all the boys became excited. Chapter 701. There was a large swimming pool in the development center. It wasn't open to the public and was only rented to a few groups. For example, schools and companies. The rental fees weren't cheap. The money was paid by number 2 high school. Number 1 experimental high school wanted to win without spending any money. However, they didn't expect that number 2 high school was so powerful. At this moment, the students of number 2 high school were gathered by the pool and changed into their swimsuits. However, Li Fan forgot Liao Wuxuang's instructions and didn't bring a swimsuit. Xia Yi, on the other hand, had already prepared one for him. After changing into his swimsuit, Li Fan walked into the pool. The other students were already waiting there. Many students followed Liao Wuxuang to warm up and wait for their turn. Liao Wuxuang was wearing a bikini swimsuit. Her figure was excellent, almost perfect. Her body was curvaceous, and the beautiful parts were covered by the swimsuit. The boys were fascinated and wanted to explore deeper. However, those places were Li Fan's territory. He would never give them away. Murong Ai, Lin Yuexian, and the other girls also came out in swimsuits. Lin Yuexian's swimsuit was a little conservative. It was a standard blue one-piece swimsuit, but it wrapped around her sexy little butt in an inverted triangle. Coupled with a pair of protruding long legs, it was also very eye-catching. Murong Ai's figure was about the same as Lin Yuexian's, but her swimsuit was a lot more daring. The pink bikini with the cute red ribbons made men want to pull the ribbons apart. Jin Kumo and Ling Yu had always been at loggerheads. They were also wearing one-piece swimsuits, which were a bit conservative. Both of them practiced martial arts all year round, so they maintained their figures well. The two girls displayed their personalities of ice and fire. Jean Kumo was wearing a blue swimsuit, while Lingyu was wearing a red swimsuit. The two of them were like two beautiful flowers, competing with each other in beauty. Chung Mohan, on the other hand, came out wearing a blue and white striped bikini. This woman's figure was also very good, and unlike other girls, Chung Mohan's skin was slightly wheat-colored, which made her look very healthy and athletic. Little senior sister Xia Yi also walked out shyly. She was only wearing an ordinary one-piece swimsuit and was even shyly wrapped in a towel. Obviously, she didn't want others to see her body. Little senior sister, don't be afraid. Isn't everyone dressed like this? When Li Fan saw Xia Yi's bashful look, he couldn't help but laugh out loud, then said to her, It's still too embarrassing." Xia Yi lowered her head, grabbed her towel, and whispered into Li Fan's ear, Why are you guys so daring? It's swimming. You even brought me a swimsuit, didn't you?" Li Fan said as he moved his body. His figure was very good, and he had all the necessary lines. Xavier didn't dare look up at him. "I'm the one who takes care of junior brother's life," Xia Yi said with a blushing face. "This small matter, it's nothing. Little senior sister, how about I accompany you to swim 2 laps? Li Fan's swimming level was not bad, although he only knew breaststroke. I'm not good at swimming." Xia Yi repeatedly shook her head. "When I was young, my cousin drowned in the water, so I have a shadow of going into the water." She expressed her resistance. "I'll just stand on the shore and watch you guys swim. Little senior sister, we're martial artists." Li Fan couldn't help but smile bitterly. "We can hold our breath for at least 4 to 5 minutes, and we can adjust our bodies in the water. How could we drown? Anyway, I'm just afraid." "All right." Li Fan had no choice, nor could he force Xia Yi. He could only walk to the side of the pool. "Everyone can move freely now. You can swim or eat," Liao Wushuang said. At the side of the pool, there were 2 long tables with all kinds of delicious food on them. Originally, they were supposed to eat at the buffet, but Liao Wushuang moved to the side of the pool and decided to have a swimsuit party for the students. Since their opponents had already run away, it was time for them to relax. "Believe it or not, I'm a swimming expert of Yijian. I'm faster than you. Let's compete. Come on." Jean Kumo and Lingyu, the 2 women, claimed to be allies, but they were always at odds with each other. The 2 girls jumped into the pool and began the competition. The other students also began to move around. In the 3rd year of high school, this was a rare good time. Splash! Li Fan suddenly plunged into the water. The pool water was a little warm, hugging Li Fan. It was very comfortable. When Li Fan entered the water, he subconsciously activated the sky-swallowing toad state. Most of the swimming postures of humans were learned from animals. For example, breaststroke, butterfly stroke, and dog paddle. When Li Fan dived into the water, his breaststroke combined with the sky-swallowing toad was almost perfect. Li Fan's hands and feet moved rhythmically, and he immediately swam 4 to 5 meters away. As a martial artist, Li Fan's breath was extremely long. To him, he didn't even need to breathe once he swam back and forth in this 100-meter-long lane. Xia Yi looked at Li Fan from the shore with envy. Li Fan quickly swam back and came out of the water, looking at Xia Yi, who was standing on the shore and drinking juice. "Little senior sister, come down." Li Fan waved at Xia Yi. "I'm afraid." Xia Yi was a little timid. Li Fan couldn't help but laugh. "Haha, little senior sister who's not afraid of anything is actually afraid of someone. Come, I'll teach you how to swim." What's wrong, little senior sister? With me around, are you still worried?" Li Fan gave Xia Yi a reassuring smile. "The water here isn't deep, it's a 1-2-meter pool." Li Fan comforted Xia Yi. "It's okay." Okay, since her junior brother insisted. Even if Xia Yi was a little afraid, she didn't want to disappoint Li Fan. She walked to the edge of the pool and slowly lowered her legs into the water. Li Fan suddenly stretched out his hand, pulled Xia Yi's hand, and pulled her into the pool. The water splashed, and little senior sister let out a cry of surprise. She leaned tightly in Li Fan's arms, feeling the surrounding water shaking. "It's okay, little senior sister," Li Fan whispered in Xia Yi's ear, comforting her slightly trembling heart. This scene was seen by the other girls, and they all became unhappy. This Xia Yi, relying on her not knowing how to swim, actually stole a wave. "She's too unreasonable. Li Fan, I'm good at swimming. Why don't you let me teach Xia Yi?" Liao Wushuang walked over with a smile, but Li Fan felt a trace of murderous intent. Chapter 702. My swimming ability is also not bad. Why don't I do it? Lin Yuhfen also swam over, pulled her goggles over her head and said to Xia Yi, "This little girl's freestyle swimming is very good. Her posture is very standard. Even Li Fan cannot help but want to praise her when he sees her. What is called a mermaid in the water, Li Fan can be considered to have experienced it today. Brother-in-law, you let them teach. We can play together." Murong Ai suddenly drilled out of the water, like a lotus flower coming out of the water. She then grabbed Li Fan's arm. "No. I want junior brother to teach me." Xia Yi is like a mother hen protecting her chick. She immediately stands in front of Li Fan and glares at the few women in front of her. "I really can't understand." Jean Juma floats in the distance, looking at the few women who are arguing, and says in a low voice, "Isn't it just a man? Is there a need to fight like that? Outstanding men will naturally be welcomed no matter where they go." Ling Yu chuckles. "However, compared to our alliance Master Long, he is still too far away. Why doesn't your alliance Master Long ascend to the heavens?" Jean Juma rolls his eyes. "If Long Fengyu is really as outstanding as you say, why did our alliance Master Luo choose Li Fan and not him?" That is because your alliance Master Luo has a problem with his aesthetics." Ling Yu is speechless for a long time. Only then can she say a sentence. "I'm too lazy to talk to you." Ling Yu rolls her eyes. She does not want to speak anymore. The few women have already started arguing. No one wants to let Li Fan go. In the end, Li Fan directly shouted, "You guys, swim separately. I will teach Xia Yi how to swim. The few of you swim separately. I will teach Xia Yi how to swim." Li Fan's words still had some weight, and they seemed to see that he was angry, so the girls gave up and scattered like birds and beasts. "Little senior sister, which type do you want to learn?" After they scatter, Li Fan's mood is a little better. He turns his head and asks Xia Yi, "I'll learn breaststroke too." Xia Hong thought for a moment. "Wait, breaststroke is too ugly. How about freestyle? Butterfly is not bad either. You should learn how to float first." Li Fan felt that it was pointless for Xia Ho to continue thinking like this. He remembered that Eve was a beginner. He should have taught her how to float first. All right." Xia Yi put on her goggles. Li Fan hugged her in the water so that she could hold on to him too. "Later, put your head in the water, then lift your legs to float." Li Fan explained. "Give it a try." Xia Yi slowly lowered her head into the water. She felt the water rushing in from all directions, pouring into her ears and nose. She immediately choked. Xia Yi raised her head, splashing water everywhere. She coughed for a long time, looking extremely uncomfortable. "Little senior sister, don't be afraid." Li Fan grabbed Xia Yi's hand and gently said, "You're still afraid of water. Don't be afraid, it's okay. But the water is flowing into my nose and ears. Hold your breath. It's okay." Li Fan encouraged Xia Yi. "I'm here, little senior sister." Xia Yi nodded. She seemed to be able to feel Li Fan's strength and courage from his hand. Xia Yi finally lowered her head into the water again. The water was like fear as it surged in from all directions and enveloped her. "Don't be afraid." Xia Yi heard Li Fan's voice in the water. "You're a martial artist. Hold your breath and imagine yourself flying in the air with Qinggong." Li Fan's voice guided Xia Yi, allowing her to muster her courage again. Xia Yi held Li Fan's hand with both hands, trying to get rid of her fear. At the thought of Li Fan's presence, the water did not seem so scary at that moment. She tried to float her legs slowly and floated towards the water surface. Soon, Xia Yi's entire body was close to the water surface, floating there. Her exquisite curves were faintly discernible in the water. Martial practitioners could hold their breaths for a long time. Even Xiaoho could hold his vital energy underwater for 7 to 8 minutes. She floated there quietly. Those who did not know would think that she had drowned. Only Li Fan knew that little senior sister had found the feeling. He slowly let go of his hand. Xia Yi was already able to float freely without any difficulty. It might be a little difficult for ordinary people to learn how to swim, but for martial artists, it was not a problem. As long as they used a breath of true qi, they would be able to float in the water easily. Xia Yi's courage gradually grew. She slowly swam in the water. However, her posture was not correct. She slid in the water and remained motionless. Why can't I move? Xia Yi was a little anxious. Haha, your posture is wrong. Li Fan laughed. He entered the heaven-swallowing toad state and swam around in the water. Look, this posture is correct. Oh, Xia Yi nodded her head. She imitated Li Fan's movements and swam in the water. Li Fan was a little surprised. This little senior sister either didn't know how to swim, or she was a little unstoppable when she swam. Her posture was quite standard. There was no difference from him. Little senior sister, sink your qi into your dantian, and then let your dantian qi explode from your abdomen. Li Fan transmitted his voice from thousands of miles away. He told Xia Yi, then use both hands to press the water surface and kick out with both legs. As soon as Li Fan's voice fell, Xia Yi directly pressed down on the water surface and jumped up. She directly swam more than 10 meters on the water surface and landed on the opposite platform. Xia Yi was a little surprised. The second high school students were also a little shocked. However, thinking that this person was Li Fan's friend, they calmed down and were not surprised at all. Spirit Toad soaring to the sky. Jin Jiuma had studied Li Fan's Seven Heroes Fist. Seeing this move, he could not help but be surprised. How did this female disciple of the Huashan sect know Li Fan's Seven Heroes Fist? Li Fan was also surprised. He did not expect little senior sister to have some talent in the Toad Strike technique. This discovery made Li Fan happy, because Li Fan found that although little senior sister liked swordsmanship, she was willing to think and create. However, the result was obvious. Her swordsmanship was not good, mainly because she did not have talent in swordsmanship. The charming gentle sword technique could only be used as a support. If little senior sister wanted to become stronger, she needed to practice some martial arts that she was good at. Toad Strike technique. Li Fan felt that a more suitable door was opening for little senior sister. Little junior brother, Xia Yi looked at Li Fan, still a little shocked and could not react. Little senior sister, I'll teach you the Toad Strike technique later. Li Fan was really happy for Xia Yi. She had finally found a suitable path for her. This girl, Jin Jiuma, was a little angry. Jin Jiuma was a little angry. This Toad Strike technique was a very advanced martial art. Even he could not learn it secretly, so why did Xia Yi learn it so easily? I'll try again. Xia Yi seemed to like swimming. She jumped into the water again and tried the breaststroke she had just learned. At this moment, Li Fan felt someone secretly hugging him from behind and whispering in his ear, "Brother-in-law, hubby, do you want to play something more exciting?" Chapter 703. What is this girl trying to do now? Li Fan knew that Murong's love attribute was definitely at the level of a little devil. He turned around and was about to lecture her when Murong's love suddenly dived into the water. Immediately after, Li Fan felt a chill under his body. Then, little Li Fan entered a warm place. This girl is actually in the water. Li Fan had the urge to touch the wall, but he was surrounded by water. There was no wall for him to touch. Li Fan could only activate his true qi. As if his feet were rooted, he stepped on the bottom of the pool and stood there firmly. Murong's love didn't care about anything else and was enjoying her lunch. Li Fan looked around. Fortunately, the pool was big enough and there were fewer people around. Xia Hong was also excitedly practicing her breaststroke in the distance. However, if someone swam over, they would definitely discover the mischievous Morong's love at the bottom of the pool. Lin Yuhsn swam over in a freestyle manner. Li Fan tensed up. He couldn't be discovered by this girl. Otherwise, he would be finished. Morong's love was eating enthusiastically. It was impossible for her to stop now. Li Fan thought for a moment and decided to stop this impending disaster. He stretched out his hand and pushed the water in front of him. His true chi flowed into the water and pushed it forward. Lin Yuhsn, who was originally swimming in this direction, followed the flow of the water. Her direction immediately changed, and she swam in another direction. Seeing Lin Yuhsn swim to the side, Li Fan heaved a sigh of relief. Damn, that was really dangerous. Tsugumi and Lingyu also swam over. Li Fan immediately used his true chi to control the water flow and change their direction again. True chi is really convenient. Li Fan felt his body slowly tense up as if he had reached a critical point. Normally, it wouldn't be so short. But now, this environment was too exciting. Under such stimulation, Li Fan's critical point arrived prematurely. But this was good. The pool was full of people, and Li Fan couldn't guarantee how long he could hide. Li Fan finally shivered. Then, Morong came out of the water again, wiping her mouth. Girl, you're too unscrupulous. Li Fan could not help but reprimand her in a soft voice. However, Morong giggled and said, Brother-in-law has a pure yang body. Your yang essence is a great tonic for me. Really? Of course, I want to eat more. Morong licked her lips. Brother-in-law, can we have another round? You calm down. Li Fan hurriedly swam back 2 meters, keeping a certain distance from Morong. Stop messing around. How is this messing around? This is absorbing nutrients. Morong winked at Li Fan. I'm refining myself into a cauldron. What I need the most is brother-in-law's yang essence. Cauldron? What's that? Fairy flying dragon cauldron recorded in the poison scripture. What the hell is that? Li Fan felt that he didn't understand. In ancient martial arts, there's a kind of evil kung fu. It's to feed women treasures or hundreds of poisons. No matter which one it is, it's all for the sake of nurturing the women into good cauldrons. After a certain period of time, they can be brought to the men to harvest. From there, they can obtain 10 years, 30 years, or even 60 years worth of cultivation. This does sound very evil. Li Fan was a bit horrified. Eating hundreds of poisons, can that thing be eaten? And there are 2 types of cauldrons that can be called the best. One is the fairy cauldron fed by poisonous insects. The woman must have a purine body. Otherwise, the poisonous insects will attack her heart and she will die within 100 days. The second is the flying dragon cauldron. It's cultivated by a famous woman who owns the Flying Dragon Cave. As for me, I meet these 2 conditions. It's the best fairy flying dragon cauldron. Brother-in-law, you're in luck. You're eating poisonous insects? Li Fan's entire body trembled. Morong AI was actually eating that kind of thing for him? It doesn't matter. I have a purine body. For me, that kind of thing is just a great tonic. Morong comforted Li Fan. Moreover, when I was serving brother-in-law's husband, I got several times more pleasure. I'm even more satisfied than brother-in-law's husband. This girl is indeed a devil woman. Li Fan felt that it was inconceivable. In the beginning, Morong wanted to harvest his yang to nourish her yin and kill him. But now, she wholeheartedly dedicated herself to him. This is a huge change. This kind of impossible thing happened to him. Everyone, don't just play. Remember to eat something to replenish your energy. Liao Wushuang reminded them. Right? Li Fan suddenly remembered something. Where did Lu Zhu go? I don't know. I haven't seen him. Morong shrugged her shoulders. Li Fan jumped out of the pool and landed on the edge of the pool. I'll go look for him. You guys play first. Morong suddenly revealed a sly smile. Brother-in-law's husband. You can go look for him in the men's locker room.
Got it.
Li Fan couldn't help but mutter in his heart. Why would Morong think of the men's locker room? But this girl has a lot of crafty ideas. Since she said so, I'll go and take a look. Li Fan passed through the pool and walked to the locker room. The men's and women's locker rooms are separated. The men have already changed their clothes and came out. But Lu Zhu is still inside. Could it be that he's not feeling well? He is a devil sect disciple and cultivates devil sect's martial arts. Could it be that he's possessed by the devil? Li Fan was worried about Lu Zhu. He directly pushed open the locker room's door and walked in. A voice came from the innermost single room. Li Fan walked over there and called out softly at the same time. Lu Zhu? Li Fans? Lu Zhu's voice seemed to be a bit panicked. Li Fan was sure that there must be something wrong with this kid. Lu Zhu, don't be afraid. I'm coming. Don't come over. Lu Zhu cried out in alarm. What's wrong? Li Fan was very worried. Are you possessed by the devil? Don't move. I'll help you adjust your breathing. No, don't think too much. I'm fine. In short, don't come over. Lu Zhu's voice became more anxious. I'm worried about you. Li Fan frowned. Is there an enemy who is threatening you? No, I'm fine. I'm really fine. I just want to be alone for a while. You go out first. I beg you. The more you act like this, the more worried I am. Li Fan firmly said, I'm the big brother. How can I not care about my brother? Li Fan took another step forward and walked over. But Lu Zhu suddenly knocked open the single room's door and ran out. Chapter 704. Lu Zhu's clothes were disheveled as if he hastily put them on. He hurriedly tied his ponytail, looking at Li Fan with a slightly flustered look. What's wrong with you? You look like you did something bad. Li Fan could not help but ask. No, nothing. Just a little uncomfortable. Lu Zhu awkwardly smiled. You wouldn't be in the locker room. Having sex with a girl, right? Li Fan's eyes suddenly lit up, somewhat ambiguously looking at Lu Zhu. Not bad, Lu Zhu. You really know how to play. Bastard, you, what are you thinking? Lu Zhu blushed and looked at Li Fan, who's like you, so perverted. In all honesty, I'm a very decent man. Li Fan raised 3 fingers and swore to God, if I lie, I'll be struck by lightning. The sound of rolling thunder came from outside. Li Fan was very embarrassed. Coincidence. It must be a coincidence. Humph. It's obvious that God can't stand it anymore. Lu Zhu curled his lips. Don't quibble. You're such a guy. Ahem. Let's not talk about me. What's wrong with you? Li Fan asked. Let's go swimming. I can't swim. Lu Zhu quickly refused Li Fan's invitation. It doesn't matter. I can teach you. Junior sister also can't swim, but I've successfully taught her. No, that's not it. Lu Zhu quickly refused. Even if you beat me to death, I won't go swimming. Why are you so stubborn? Could it be that something has happened? Anyway, I don't want to swim. Lu Zhu said and walked toward the other direction of the locker room. I'm not feeling well. I'll go back first. Hey, at least have a meal first. Li Fan said. Teacher Liao has moved the food to the pool. No, I'm not hungry. Lu Zhu thought of something, suddenly turned around and looked at Li Fan. Since there's nothing else, why don't you come with me? Where are you going after coming here? To a place I want to go. Lu Zhu did not say anything. She just looked at Li Fan, as if waiting for him to make a choice. If you don't go, I'll go alone. Lu Zhu looked at Li Fan quietly. All right, I'll go with you. Li Fan was worried about Lu Zhu. He felt that there was something wrong with him. Wait for me. I need to change my clothes. Li Fan opened his wardrobe, put on his school uniform, and then followed Lu Zhu out of the swimming pool. Li Fan didn't know what Lu Zhu was up to. She was fine yesterday, but today she was behaving strangely. After leaving the swimming pool, the sky was still bright. According to their schedule, they would be returning to school from the expansion base at around 2:00 in the afternoon. However, Lu Zhu didn't know where she was taking him. She probably wouldn't be back for a while. Li Fan guessed. At the same time, he followed Lu Zhu through the forest and came to a small river. He didn't know where this small river led to, but the water was relatively rapid. On the bank of this small river, there was a small boat left behind by Lu Zhu. What are you going to do with this small boat? Li Fan couldn't help but ask. Are you willing to come with me? Lu Zhu didn't explain, and just asked. All right, let's go. Since she said this, Li Fan knew that he had no choice but to follow. Then get on the boat. You can rest for a while. When you wake up, we will be there. Lu Zhu sat in the small boat and picked up the paddle. Okay, just don't sell me out. Li Fan laughed, but when he saw Lu Zhu didn't look very good, he had to put away his smile. What's wrong with you? Why do you look so serious? If I say that I am actually going to take revenge today, what would you think? Lu Zhu looked at Li Fan sitting opposite and asked while rowing the boat. Revenge? Who is the enemy? When Li Fan heard this, he also became serious.
You will know when you see it.
Lu Zhu didn't reveal the mystery and just continued rowing the boat. The river was rapid, so Lu Zhu didn't need to use much strength. She just kept gliding along the downstream. There were mountains on both sides. Because of the arrival of autumn, the leaves had turned yellow. The trees on the shore constantly shed yellow leaves and fell into the water, moving along with the boat. Since Lu Zhu didn't want to say, Li Fan naturally didn't force her. He sat firmly on the boat with his hands crossed in front of his chest. At the same time, the true qi in his body kept flowing, circulating in the meridians according to the method of the 7 heroes' force. Why don't you practice the 9 Buddha Sutra? Lu Zhu saw the trajectory of Li Fan's movement and couldn't help but ask, isn't that sex martial art more powerful? No matter how good the 9 Buddha Sutra is, it is someone else's martial art. Li Fan didn't open his eyes, the corner of his mouth slightly moved, and explained, my 7 heroes' fist can definitely surpass it. Your fist technique is very powerful, but it's still lacking compared to the 9 Buddha Sutra. Lu Zhu said frankly, the leader of my sect, Li Wei, practices the 9 Buddha Sutra. At present, the leader has already practiced 3 moves of the 9 Buddha Sutra, namely Tiger Subduing from Huashan, Exorcism from Wudong, and Scorching Sun from Yi Jian. If I'm not wrong, you have one more than the leader, right? Lu Zhu didn't know where she got the information from, but she simply stated her judgment. You have Vajra and Dragon Subduing, Tiger Subduing from Huashan, and Scorching Sun from Yi Jian. I gave you the last 2, but you don't seem to have practiced them. Your judgment is very accurate. Li Fan finally opened his eyes and looked at Lu Zhu. I do have 4 copies of the 9 Buddha Sutra, 2 of which you returned to me. However, I only practiced 2 moves and didn't practice anything else. I took a look at Tiger Subduing and Scorching Sun, and I just understood them. In this pugilistic world, you're probably the only one who has no desire for the 9 Buddha Sutra. Lu Zhu smiled bitterly. You can't say that. I want to see the complete 9 Buddha Sutra too. Li Fan smiled and said, I want to know all the martial arts in the world. I know all the martial arts in the world. Lu Zhu sighed. The 9 Buddha Sutra is the only one that I don't know. You know all of them? How is that possible? Li Fan was surprised. Do you know about the Morong family's Morong swordsmanship and the Sima family's 9 swords of bliss? I know them very well. Lu Zhu nodded. By the way, I don't know enough about your 7 gallant fists. These are probably the only 2 martial arts in the pugilistic world, and I haven't fully understood them yet. How do you understand them?
Look.
Lu Zhu pointed at her eyes. I have a unique ability, and that's the ability to look. No matter how complicated the martial arts in the world are, I only need to look at it once, and I can learn it. Fuck. Chapter 705. Li Fan can't help but be shocked. Even if it's him, he can only learn other people's moves when he activates lawful embodiment of heaven and earth. But if he exits lawful embodiment of heaven and earth, he would basically forget all the moves and only have a slight understanding of some techniques. Lu Zhu, on the other hand, is a gifted genius who has the ability to learn at a glance. He also has a photographic memory. In other words, he is a moving martial arts database. His value to the Devil Sect is probably inestimable. If he was the leader of the devil sect, he probably would not let Lu Zhu go. In the 21st century, the most important thing is talent. Especially a talent like Lu Zhu, who is the target for all sects and organizations to fight for. At that moment, Li Fan's eyes flashed a trace of greed. But as soon as his eyes flashed, he quickly realized his mistake. Lu Zhu is a living person, not an object. How could he have the thought of occupying him? It's just the world's martial arts. Even if he relies on himself, he can learn the world's martial arts. Then my 7-hero fist, you should have more or less learned it, Li Fan said. Basically, I've used all my moves in front of you. I've studied most of the moves that you've used before. Lu Zhu said honestly, but there are a few moves that I still can't imagine. He said, that move of yours, the great god of war, seems to require a special kind of true qi to be used. I've tried it, but even if I know your moves, I can't imitate it. Ha, that's true. It requires my unique 7-hero force. Li Fan laughed. Although the 7-hero fist is easy to understand and can be imitated, but most of the moves need the support of the 7-hero force. Especially the great god of war, this move needs to reach the 5th stage of the 7-hero force to perform. Although Lu Zhu can see through all the external techniques, he can't do the same with internal techniques, right? Also, you seem to have another kind of martial arts. I've seen a video of you killing in Vladivostok Square. That you didn't perform the 7-hero fist, nor the 9 Buddhist Sutra. It's really difficult for me. Your 9 Buddhist Sutra must have been practiced backwards, right? Li Fan asked. That's right, sect leaders said that the 9 Buddhist Sutra is recorded backwards, so you have to practice it backwards in order to master it. Otherwise, you'll go berserk and explode. That's right. Li Fan smiled. I was just practicing, and I managed to learn this martial art. This? Lu Zhu was shocked. Is this possible? You're not lying to me? You are my brother, who kowtowed to the ground. Why would I lie to you? Li Fan said frankly, if you want to learn, I can teach you. Aren't you afraid that I'll teach it to sect leader? Lu Zhu looked at Li Fan strangely. I'm not afraid, because I trust you. Li Fan smiled. If we don't even trust each other, then we can't be brothers. Lu Zhu gave Li Fan a few more glances. Li Fan seemed to be acting strangely. What are you looking at? What's so good about me? I'm looking at you. Why are you acting so silly? Lu Zhu pouted and said, I really can't understand you. People like you are either a grandmaster or a nobody. There's no second choice. That's great. At least I'm not a nobody now. Li Fan couldn't help but chuckle, causing Lu Zhu to roll her eyes. Humph. Anyway, I don't care about your business. Don't worry, I'll deal with my own business. Li Fan said confidently. Moreover, I already have a group of brothers who can help me conquer the world. You're talking about Guan Wenbao and Yan Kai, right? Lu Zhu was very familiar with Li Fan's matters. They're indeed good, but they're not enough to help you expand your territory. They're brothers who followed me from nothing, so they're important. But they're not the only ones in the primeval escort agency. Li Fan was a bit proud. There's also Bodhi, the invincible Buddhist disciple, among the martial artists. Also, there's Flying Cat and Xiaoho as backup for the sect. In Kyoto, we also have the 11 cavalrymen from the Dragon Hall. Their combat power is unparalleled. I know. The primeval escort agency is no longer the small escort agency it used to be. Lu Zhu nodded. Especially with Lu Xinan's Crimson Dragon Society behind you. They will be your external contacts and provide financial support. But the 11 cavalrymen aren't on your side after all. Xiaoho and the Flying Cat weren't considered to be very strong. And Bodhi will be sent back to the Shaolin Temple at any time. The rest, such as Huang Lei, the Devil Incarnate, and Sun Qingchen, are all ordinary people who can only help you with your business. In the martial world, you only have 3 people. You, Guan Wenbao, and Yan Kai. Lu Zhu analyzed the situation for him and found that she was right, so Li Fan couldn't refute her. If you don't deal with these problems, you'll suffer a lot sooner or later. I can handle it myself. Li Fan still had a bit of pride in his voice. Otherwise, why would I train so hard? I just want to protect them. You. Why do you always like to take on everything? Lu Zhu was a bit angry. Can't you share your work with others? Don't you know that we should share blessings and difficulties? We can share blessings and difficulties, but I'll handle them myself. Li Fan smiled gently. You can tell me if you're in trouble. I'll handle it for you. Humph.
I don't want to talk to you.
Lu Zhu seemed a little unhappy. He turned his head and looked at the mountains and trees that were slowly receding on both sides, ignoring Li Fan. Hey, why are you angry? Li Fan didn't know what Lu Zhu was thinking. This kid is always angry. Li Fan closed his eyes again and began to adjust his internal energy. The boat seemed to need to move for a long time. Because Lu Zhu was protecting him, he could peacefully enter into a deep state of cultivation. He once again came to the visualization world and quietly looked at the two worlds. The 9 stars in the sky flickered and dimmed. Li Fan once again gathered his strength and began to attack the dome of heaven above his head. The defense of the 7th star was too strong. It was obviously not on the same level as the previous 6 stars. Li Fan felt that as long as he could break this star, he would be able to make great progress. He had stayed in the 6th level for too long. It was time to improve. Li Fan stood in his visualization world with both his feet on the water surface. With full concentration, he sent his strength to the 7th star. Chapter 706. Li Fan stepped on the surface of the water and looked at the star above his head. He felt as if he had come to life in the visualization world. Everything was so real. Li Fan suddenly raised his hand and slammed it towards the 7th star above his head. The great war god popped out and appeared behind him. Following his movements, it unleashed a bear king seal and slammed it towards the star above his head. Rumble. The star shook, but it was unharmed. Li Fan frowned. It seemed that the bear king seal alone was not enough to break through the star's defense. The great war god behind Li Fan turned golden, and all the energy in his body seemed to be burning. The great war god's hands suddenly pushed upwards, and the condensed energy instantly shot out. Dragon spitting pearl. A golden chi bead suddenly shot into the sky and slammed into the star. Light exploded from the star, as if it had lit up the star. But after the light dissipated, the star was still in good condition. It was not destroyed by Li Fan's move. Damn, awesome. Li Fan couldn't help but give a thumbs up. As expected of his acupuncture point, its defense was really strong. The power of this dragon-spitting pearl was definitely strong, but it still could not shake it. Li Fan was not discouraged. He took a deep breath and began to compress the great war god's energy. The great war god's body became smaller and smaller and soon turned into a golden armor, which was draped over Li Fan's body. Golden armor. Li Fan's entire body was shining with golden light, as if he was an invincible general who had walked out of the battlefield. He visualized his extraordinary sword, and at the same time, he pointed his hands upwards. The extraordinary sword instantly flew up into the sky, and then Li Fan poured all the true chi in his body into it, turning it into electricity. God's slaying. Li Fan roared, and lightning immediately flew out from the sword and slashed at the star above his head.
Dang. Boom.
The star shook violently, and cracks appeared on it, but it still maintained its intact state. Li Fan's power was still not enough to destroy the 7th star.
Good.
You're awesome. Li Fan's eyes glowed with a golden light. He didn't believe that he couldn't deal with this 7th-level cultivation technique. The force of 7 heroes was something he had created himself. If he were to say that he was unable to break through the bottleneck of the force of 7 heroes, it would be a joke. Great God of War. Extreme. Li Fan urged all his strength, causing his true chi to almost go berserk. The space was slowly dyed gold. The golden war god stood up once more, condensed and powerful. He controlled the war god and gathered all the true chi in his body onto his palms. Li Fan felt that the power in his palm was about to explode. He suddenly pushed upwards. 7 brilliances, Absolute kill. Wisdom King omnidirectional. The power in his palms was condensed to the extreme, converging together and striking the distant star.
Boom.
Leaf Fan used up almost all of his energy, and the seventh star finally began to crack. Finally, with a loud rumble, it transformed into countless stars. An even brighter star appeared there, and the seventh-level acupoint was also opened. At that moment, Leaf Fan felt a burst of energy in his body, as if a powerful force was surging out from his dantian and pouring into his meridians. And this visualization world was divided into black and white. When Leaf Fan destroyed the seventh star, the world in the white space also changed. The seven giant beasts all disappeared, and a war god covered in golden armor stood there. His body was huge, like a god, towering into the clouds, and his might shook all directions. "This is my power?" Leaf Fan looked at the huge golden-armored war god and felt a deep shock in his heart. After breaking through the seventh level, his martial arts finally had a breakthrough. Leaf Fan slowly opened his eyes. Lu Zhu, who was sitting opposite him, immediately looked shocked. Leaf Fan's gaze changed. When he first met Leaf Fan, his eyes were like two daggers, piercing people's hearts. Later, when Leaf Fan's martial arts improved, his gaze became much gentler, but there was also a sense of majesty. And at this moment, in Leaf Fan's eyes, there was an additional domineering aura that couldn't be ignored. Could it be? During this time on the boat, Leaf Fan's strength had improved by leaps and bounds again? Where are we? Leaf Fan seemed to be fine. He looked around and found that they had entered an open water. Soon, we're not far away. Lu Zhu stretched out her hand and pointed. There was a small dock in the distance, and there were a few cargo ships docked at the dock, seemingly transporting some goods. On the dock, some strong men were moving goods. Judging from their strenuous state, these goods didn't seem to be light. What are they doing here? Leaf Fan was a little puzzled. The Sea Snake Gang. Lu Zhu pointed to the dock. They are responsible for the water cargo in this area. From the name, it seems to be a gang from the underworld. Leaf Fan muttered. Yes, they are an affiliated gang of the Morong family. Affiliated gang? It was the first time Leaf Fan had heard of this name. Of course, there are no less than thousands of gangs of all sizes in the underworld. Many small gangs want to survive, so they have to attach themselves to the big gangs. Lu Zhu explained, this is the case with the Sea Snake Gang. They used to be in charge of shipping, but later, they were defeated by a rival gang and chased out of the coastal city to the inland. Then, they attached themselves to the Morong villa and received the support of the Morong family. That's why they have today's business. It's also a way to survive. Leaf Fan did not comment. Let's go closer and take a look. Lu Zhu said as she moved the oars, making the boat quickly approach the dock. However, at this moment, a few sampans came over and blocked their way. You two stop. A man wearing a gray singlet and black underpants stepped on the sampans and shouted at them. To be able to wear so little clothes in this weather, Leaf Fan could already tell that this man should be a martial artist. This place has been sealed by the Sea Snake Gang. You guys can go to another dock. The Sea Snake Gang is just a gang in charge of shipping. Since when did you have the right to seal the dock? Lu Zhu sneered. This dock belongs to the government. Whoever wants to dock doesn't need to ask for your permission. Brat, I think you're out of your mind. The man in the gray singlet sneered. How dare you go against the Sea Snake Gang in this water? You're simply courting death. The Sea Snake Gang is nothing. Lu Zhu's eyes rolled as she pointed at Leaf Fan and said, This is Leaf Fan, known as the Little Tyrant in the underworld. He's Morong Bo's son-in-law. Upon hearing this name, the expressions of the man in the gray singlet and his companions changed. Their eyes fell on Leaf Fan, sizing him up a few more times. One of them even took out his phone and looked at it twice before nodding at the man in the gray singlet. Chapter 707. I didn't know it was you. Young Masterly, sorry for not welcoming you earlier. Knowing that the person who came was Li Fan, the son-in-law of Morong Villa, the man in the gray vest immediately cupped his hands respectfully to Li Fan. Can I go over now? Li Fan asked. I'm afraid not. The man in the gray vest rejected Li Fan once again. If you want to enter this dock, you must have the permission of Villa Master Morong.
Ha!
Li Fan was also unhappy. This dock is shared. How can you seal it just because you say so? I insist on going in today.
What can you do to me?
You refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit. The man in the gray vest rebuked angrily. I'm being polite to you because you're the son-in-law of the Villa Master, but you don't know what's good for you.
Get lost.
If you take another step forward, don't blame me for being rude. Is that so? With his hands behind his back, Li Fan looked at the few members of the Sea Snake gang in front of him.
Ha!
How can a pretty boy like you, who relies on his connections through the back door, understand the power of our Sea Snake gang? The man in the gray vest laughed. When I was galloping on the sea, you were still pinching shit somewhere. In that case, tell me your name. Li Fan said, since we're going to fight, tell me your name first. He, you really don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. You actually want to fight with me. The man in the gray vest did not take Li Fan seriously at all. In his heart, Li Fan was just a pretty boy who relied on a woman to get his position. If he wasn't the son-in-law of the Villa Master, who in the pugilistic world would take him seriously? What little tyrant.
It's all nonsense.
I heard that this kid has also practiced a special technique called the Seven Heroes Fist. He probably got it from the Villa Master. It's really unfair. A pretty boy can casually get a peerless secret technique to cultivate. As for them, they had to struggle bitterly in their sex even if they tried their best. He might as well take this opportunity to beat this brat up and force him to spit out the secret of the Seven Hero Fist. Then, he might be able to become a dragon. Grandpa will never change his name or surname, Li Yao. Remember, it's the same family. Li Fan smiled. Come on then. Let this idiot witness the might of the Sea Snake gang. Li Yao shouted. The men on the boat beside him all held onto their fishing rods and jumped towards Li Fan. Lu Zhu grabbed her black jade fan as if she was about to attack. Leave it to me. Li Fan stood on the boat with his hands behind his back. Looking at the men from the Sea Snake gang who had jumped over, he did not move and only shouted.
Ha!
He let out a loud shout, bringing with it a strong, true energy. The waves were stirred up, as if there was a monster hiding in the water. It was eager to try and surge out. The men from the Clown Sea Snake gang who had jumped over were directly blown away by Li Fan's true energy. In the blink of an eye, they were thrown far away and smashed into the water behind them. As for the boats in front of him, they were also blown away and tossed about. In fact, many of the boats were shattered by the blast of true energy, breaking into pieces and sinking into the water. When Li Yao saw this scene, he was shocked to the extreme. How is this possible? This is not the true energy that a pretty boy should have. It's too strong and domineering. Li Fan is like an unsheathed sword. When it's unsheathed, it's simple and unadorned. But when it's unsheathed, it's invincible. The true energy in Li Fan's body had accumulated to an extreme. At this moment, when he broke through, his true energy directly rose and was sent to the level of 7 dragons. Amazing! Lu Zhu could not help but exclaim. He actually broke through his limit on the boat. Li Fan acted as if nothing had happened. He watched the river return to its calm state and continued to stand there with his hands behind his back. Although the current Li Fan had not reached the strength of a grandmaster, he already had the demeanor of a grandmaster. This time, it's just a warning. Li Fan said, next time, it'll be the time of your death. You. Li Yao's vicious words lingered in his mouth twice, but he still swallowed them back. This is the Villa Master's business. If you dare to trespass, the Villa Master will definitely not forgive you. Villa Master? Is it Morong Bo? Li Fan remained calm. He doesn't have a good impression of me to begin with, so why should I be afraid of him? How presumptuous. Li Yao roared and picked up his water-splitting rod from the boat. I'll let you know how powerful I am. With that, he roared and stomped his feet, leaving the boat. Treading on the water, he quickly approached Li Fan. His speed on the water was very fast. His feet continuously treading on the water, like a speedboat, he approached Li Fan at high speed. Li Fan's complexion slightly changed. When Li Yao jumped in front of him, he suddenly hit him with his palm. Li Yao's water-splitting rod did not hit Li Fan at all. Instead, Li Fan's palm had already imprinted on his chest.
Bang.
Li Yao's body was directly hit and flew out. In an instant, he split the water and crashed on the distant dock, causing a row of goods to collapse. The cargo box was broken, revealing the goods inside. Inside, there were skinny figures, men and women, old and young. Their faces showed panic, as if they were startled animals. Although Li Fan's temperament has calmed down a lot, seeing this scene, he could not help but be shocked. What is this situation? Why are there people in the cargo box?
Li Yao.
Li Fan's thunderous roar exploded in Li Yao's ears. You dare to do this shady business of human trafficking? Li Yao, who was unconscious, was shaken awake by Li Fan's roar. He opened his eyes and saw the furious Li Fan. He immediately felt a chill, as if the god of death was staring at him. No, not me. It's the Villa Master. These are people who believe in my devil sect. Lu Zhu explained. They were captured and transported here, then handed over to Morong Villa for Morong Bo to practice martial arts. What? Li Fan was somewhat puzzled. What kind of martial arts does Morong Bo want these people to practice? Don't you know, in this Jianghu, there is a martial art called Vairocana Heart Sutra. Lu Zhu said, it is said that it was created by the undying evil Buddha. By absorbing other people's life, it can strengthen one's internal energy. Morong Bo has always wanted to study this kind of martial art, but the Vairocana Heart Sutra has long been lost, so he studied it himself. For the sake of his research, who knows how many people from the devil sect have died? Lu Zhu sneered, then looked at Li Fan. Li Fan, big brother, this is the righteous path that you have always believed in. Sometimes, what they do is even contemptuous of us from the devil sect. Li Fan frowned deeply. His heart was filled with mixed feelings, and his mood was complicated. Is this the revenge you were talking about? Yes, I want to kill all the members of the Sea Snake Gang and rescue my companions from the solipsism sect. Lu Zhu stood up from the small boat and raised her black jade fan. Li Fan, just watch from the side. Chapter 708. As Lu Zhu spoke, she stepped on the waves and leaped towards the pier. Save me. Please save us. Seeing Lu Zhu coming over on the waves, the trapped disciples of the devil cult were filled with hope and asked Lu Zhu for help. Some of the men from the Sea Snake Gang jumped out and prepared to stop Lu Zhu. Although Lu Zhu was not a great expert, he was still quite powerful. He waved his fan and shot out a row of black darts. These black darts were like black poisonous insects. In the blink of an eye, they flew towards the members of the Sea Snake Gang and hit their bodies. Bang, bang, bang. These black darts sent the men from the Sea Snake Gang flying and falling into the water. Lu Zhu took advantage of the gap and landed on the dock. He tapped the black jade fan, and a sharp blade popped out from the tip of the fan. Then, he slashed at the iron chain on a cage. However, at this moment a silver spear suddenly pierced through the air and hit Lu Zhu's black jade fan. Lu Zhu was sent flying more than 10 meters in the air. Then, he was caught by Li Fan and gently placed on the boat. A man in bright silver armor was standing on the dock, holding a bright silver spear in his hand. He was full of heroic spirit and had a serious expression on his face, as if a divine soldier had descended from the heavens. I'm sorry, this is the territory of the White Tiger Hall of the Central Plains. You are not allowed to be presumptuous here. The silver-armored man shook his spear and said arrogantly, White Tiger Hall of the Central Plains. Li Fan frowned and looked at the silver-armored man. That's right, they're from the White Tiger Hall. Lu Zhu smiled bitterly. Among the four major alliances, the White Tiger Hall of the Central Plains has always been secretly serving Morongbo. These shameful deeds were personally carried out by them. Shameful deeds? The silver-armored man smiled. Stop joking. It's an honor for these lackeys of the devil cult to be able to contribute to Villa Master Morong before they die. Nonsense. Li Fan was already a little angry. The value of a person is not something you can judge. Li Fan, you are such a hypocrite. The silver-armored man sneered. Don't forget, you've also killed a lot of devil cult disciples. Now that things have come to this, what right do you have to criticize me? You're right, I'm not a good person either. Li Fan said. So, I just don't like you. So I want to beat you up? Alright, but whether or not you can beat me is another matter. The silver-armored man was very proud. Our White Tiger Hall of the Central Plains has as many experts as there are clouds in the sky. How can we be defeated by a guy who relied on a woman to get his position? Alright, leave your name. This battle was unavoidable, and Li Fan was already prepared. You don't deserve to know my name. The silver-armored man raised his silver spear and pointed it at Li Fan, his eyes filled with disdain. After you die, go ask the King of Hell. Li Fan, you have to be careful. The elites of White Tiger Hall in the Chinese plains are very powerful. Lu Zhu reminded Li Fan. Don't worry, the elites of Fifan Escort Agency are even more powerful. As Li Fan spoke, he pushed Lu Zhu to the nearby boat with both hands. The silver-armored man had already stabbed out with his spear. The water surface was split apart by the force, and the force of the spear had already reached Li Fan in an instant. With a wave of his hand, Li Fan stretched out his palm and blocked the force released by the spear.
Bang!
The surrounding waves rose up, transforming into ripples that spread out. Li Fan stood on the small boat, right in the center of the ripples. The small boat swayed slightly, but Li Fan remained calm as he looked at the silver-armored man in the distance. His expression did not change in the slightest. Not bad. The silver-armored man flexed his muscles. You actually managed to block my spear. You have some ability. Don't worry, you'll know soon enough. Li Fan smiled. I have quite a lot of abilities. Let's talk about it if you can survive until then. As the silver-armored man spoke, he jumped up from the dock and descended from the sky, thrusting his spear at Li Fan. Li Fan dodged to the side, and the silver-armored man's spear pierced the air.
Bang!
The river behind him directly exploded, and like a silver dragon, it soared into the sky. The silver-armored man landed on the small boat and brandished his spear, continuously attacking Li Fan. However, Li Fan only dodged left and right, constantly avoiding the silver-armored man's spear. After attacking for more than 10 times, the silver-armored man was still unable to hit Li Fan. Whenever his spear swept across the water surface, huge waves would rise, as if there was a water demon causing trouble. Cloud Dragon Transformation. The silver-armored man's spear trembled, and in an instant, he stabbed out more than 10 times, each spear aimed at Li Fan's vital points. Li Fan's body bounced, and with a somersault, he jumped over the silver-armored man's head and landed on the other side of the boat.
Bang!
Li Fan did not forget to give the silver-armored man a kick, causing him to stagger. He stepped forward on the small boat and used his true chi to support himself on the water surface. Only then did he stabilize his body. The silver-armored man frowned and turned around. Holding his spear, he glared at Li Fan. How can a mere gigolo be stronger than me? The silver-armored man was extremely unconvinced. He was an expert of the White Tiger Hall of the Central Plains. How could he lose to a brat? In the White Tiger Hall of the Central Plains, all the experts were divided into 4 ranks. From bottom to top, they were soldier, minister, and general. The silver-armored man himself was a minister-level expert, so he was filled with confidence. The White Tiger Hall of the Central Plains was also different from other alliances. The members of other alliances were chosen from various sections. After joining, the martial arts they learned were also a mix of good and bad people. Only the White Tiger Hall was different. The White Tiger Hall had a martial art called Divine Heavenly Soldier. This martial art was strong in that it could absorb all the other martial arts. The silver-armored man's Divine Heavenly Soldier was trained to the level of minister level. Therefore, he was extremely conceited and complacent. Divine Heavenly Soldier. The silver-armored man roared. His body was wrapped in a layer of black light. The third level. The silver-armored man took another step forward and stepped onto the small boat. His true chi vibrated on the river below, and ripples spread out. He thrust his spear straight at Li Fan's heart. Li Fan tried to dodge again. But this time, the silver-armored man's spear suddenly sped up. It was like a rocket disconnecting. Its speed increased sharply, and Li Fan had nowhere to dodge. Clang! Li Fan extended his crane hand and hit the spear. But the spear did not budge. Instead, it shook off Li Fan's hand. The spear's tip was already in front of Li Fan's throat. Fight the tiger. Li Fan suddenly punched out. The fist aura broke through the void and landed on the silver-armored man's chest. Bang! The silver-armored man's body slid a meter away. He landed back on the small boat and stabilized his body. Li Fan's punch did not have much effect. It was really unbelievable. Our White Tiger Hall's Divine Heavenly Soldier can increase one's defense to the limit. Just based on your attack, you can't even break my defense. The silver-armored man became arrogant again. Chapter 709. It was a skill that increased one's defensive power. This was very similar to the White Tiger Hall, which charged and broke through enemy lines. Li Fan has heard about the 4 major alliances. Almost everyone in the White Tiger Hall is from the military, and every one of them is a battle-hardened warrior. The battlefield is different from a martial arts fight. On the battlefield, there are enemies in all directions, and it is useless to rely on strength to fight in the midst of thousands of soldiers. Any enemy can inflict a fatal wound on you with a single stab. The Heavenly Soldier Kung Fu could greatly enhance one's defense, which also increased one's survivability on the battlefield. It is indeed a martial skill that has evolved over many years. Li Fan can't help but admire it. He takes a step forward and hits the silver-armored man a few times. Black ripples spread out, and the silver-armored man only takes 2 steps back, but his body is not injured. Sure enough, this heavenly soldier's defense is unimaginably strong. How are you going to deal with this kind of defense? The silver-armored man laughs loudly, seemingly very proud. Li Fan's expression is still normal, as if he is not worried at all. Why, aren't you afraid? The silver-armored man looks at Li Fan, feeling that he is very indifferent. Yes. Li Fan nodded. It is nothing. How arrogant. The silver-armored man's eyes sharpen. I will let you die under the spear of the young masters. With that, the silver-armored man's spear is also wrapped in black light, and he thrusts it towards the center of Li Fan's eyebrows. This spear is unstoppable, as if it can pierce through the 9 heavens. But at this time, Li Fan makes his move. His eyes emit golden light, and then his left hand suddenly wraps around the silver-armored man's spear, and his right hand directly hits the silver-armored man's chest. Before the silver-armored man can react, Li Fan's palm has already burst out a ball of true energy.
Bang!
Li Fan's true energy hits the silver-armored man's chest, and the silver-armored man is directly sent flying, instantly splits the water, and falls on the distant pier. The silver-armored man stands up and roars, I am fine. Your attack can't hurt me.
Pooh.
He suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood and half knelt on the ground. The black light in front of his chest dimmed a bit, and cracks appeared on his breastplate. Impossible. The silver-armored man looked at the wound on his chest with shock in his eyes. Li Fan stood there, his eyes faintly emitting a golden light. His aura seemed to have completely changed. He just stood there, looking majestic without being angry. The golden light on Li Fan's body converged and turned into a golden armor in the blink of an eye. At this time, Li Fan was like the mighty god of war in the visualization world. Divine Dragon General. This was the power that Li Fan obtained after activating the 7th level of the 7 Heroes Force. The 7 heroes combined into one, especially the strength of the snake and the toad, stacked together and transformed into the Divine Dragon General. The snake transformed into a dragon and soared into the clouds. Li Fan leaped into the air, reaching a height of more than 10 meters. Each time he stepped on the air, it was like he was walking on flat ground, and he soared another 3 to 4 meters. In an instant, Li Fan leaped 100 meters high. The surrounding wind blew on Li Fan's body. Li Fan filled his body with true qi, making his body as light as a feather. He floated in the air and looked down. The silver-armored man stood on the dock below, as small as an ant. Li Fan filled his palm with true qi and struck down. Dragon King Seal. Like a divine dragon hiding in the clouds, a claw descended from the sky. The palm wind instantly landed on the dock, pressing down on the silver-armored man's body.
Bang!
A huge palm print appeared on the dock, as if it was a real dragon claw. The silver-armored man was pressed on the dock, unable to move. The armor on his body continued to crumble. The dock immediately collapsed, and the silver-armored man fell into the cold river. Li Fan landed on the wooden boat again, stabilizing his body. Lu Zhu stood at the side, dumbstruck. Li Fan actually became stronger again. What the hell was this Divine Dragon General? It seemed like the 7 heroes' martial arts were merged into one. There was also a dragon form fist in Xingyi Quan. However, most of the dragon form fist had form but no form, so very few people used it. As for Li Fan's Divine Dragon General, it was as if a real dragon had descended, a divine general descending from the heavens. Divine Dragon General. Li Fan, you really know how to surprise me? Lu Zhu laughed bitterly. She didn't know if she was happy for Li Fan or sad for Li Fan. The silver-armored man climbed out of the water in a sorry state. His silver spear had broken into 2 and disappeared into the water. Li Fan crossed his arms and looked at the silver-armored man in front of him. Li Fan, you dare to attack my White Tiger Hall. From now on, the entire White Tiger Hall of the Central Plains will be your enemy. Welcome. Li Fan smiled, and the golden armor on his body dissipated bit by bit. You're welcome to disturb me. Li Fan indeed had too many debts to bear. He couldn't even count the number of enemies he had now. In the pugilistic world, there was the embroidered uniform guard, egoistic sect, Sima clan, Yama Hall, and now the White Tiger Hall of the Central Plains. Outside the pugilistic world, there was the Storm mercenary group watching him closely, and there was a brother called Sam secretly controlling them. All of these enemies wanted to kill him, but Li Fan was still alive and well until now. Li Fan, are you crazy? Do you want to ally with the evil cult? The silver-armored man was still unwilling to give up. He climbed onto the dock and held onto the ground, looking at Li Fan with eyes that looked like he wanted to devour him. These are the lackeys of the evil cult. If you save them, you'll ally with the evil cult and become the enemy of the world. Ha! I, Li Fan, was born to do as I please. Li Fan laughed. If the righteous path of the pugilistic world is like you, then what's the harm in becoming the enemy of the world? What arrogant words. Do you know how big the pugilistic world is? You want to become the enemy of the entire pugilistic world? Do you think you're the undying evil Buddha? Even the undying evil Buddha was killed by the pugilistic world. Then let's try. Li Fan didn't have any intention of backing down. The one who is to choose is not me, but you. He pointed at the prisoners. Either release them or die here. Make your choice.
You.
The silver-armored man wanted to curse, but he looked at Li Fan, cursing and swallowing it back. Now wasn't the time to curse. Maybe he would really die. Li Fan, don't regret it. The silver-armored man turned around and walked away. You sure run fast. Li Fan retracted his chi back into his dantian, and at this time, Lu Zhu began to release the imprisoned evil cult disciples. Thank you. Thank you. Looking at the people who were released, Li Fan had mixed feelings in his heart. Chapter 710.
Bang.
Muronging smashed the table next to her and then glared at Li Fan. Li Fan, you've made a big mistake. Made a mistake? Li Fan sat on the sofa opposite her, crossed his legs, and looked relaxed. What do you mean by that? Still want to quibble? Muronging was infuriated by Li Fan's attitude. What kind of person was he? When she was talking about him, he was still so frivolous. What trouble did I make? You became sworn brothers with the people of the devil cult, and you even kidnapped important devil cult captives. Everyone in Jianghu knows about it. The two sat in the living room of the villa. Muronging was wearing a fiery red cheongsam, and her eyes were filled with anger as she looked straight at Li Fan. You've made such a big mistake, and you still don't realize it? I don't think I've made a mistake. Li Fan said, I just saved some people who didn't want to die. Nonsense. Those people are the dogs of the devil cult. Even if they joined the devil cult, it doesn't mean that they'll be a member of the devil cult forever, right? Li Fan frowned. These people can't even get a quick death, and they'll be taken by your father to practice martial arts and absorb their life force at will. Is this the right way?
What?
What does this have to do with my father? Muronging was very puzzled. Those devil cult disciples were sent to the Central Plains White Tiger Hall to be imprisoned. It seems that as the leader of Wulin, your intelligence is too poor. Li Fan couldn't help but laugh at Muronging. You don't even know what your father does in private. Although he's a bit overbearing for so many years, he's always loved me and Xiao AI like a mountain. Muronging's expression turned serious. I know that you don't get along with him, but you shouldn't slander him. That's too unmanly. I slander him? I saw it with my own eyes. Li Fan frowned. The White Tiger Hall of the Central Plains has always served your father. Murong family has family rules. They definitely won't have any dealings with the Four Alliances. Muronging said solemnly, That's what my father has always taught me. That's why I've never interacted with anyone from the Four Alliances. Don't you know that?
How about you?
I can probably believe it, but you're the only one who believes in your father. You are my man. You should believe whatever I believe. Muronging said overbearingly, I think you've been led astray by Lu Zhu from the devil cult. From now on, you're not allowed to have any contact with him. Hey, you sound like I'm a kid who likes to play with bad kids. Li Fan felt uncomfortable when he heard this. Although Lu Zhu is a member of the devil cult, she is not a bad person. As long as you follow me, I will bring him back sooner or later. I'm just afraid that you won't be able to bring him back. Instead, he will take you away. Muronging was very unhappy. For the next few days, you're not allowed to go out. Stay at home and reflect on it. Fuck, you're still confining me? Li Fan raised his eyebrows. Am I such an obedient person? If you dare to run out, I'll find a chance to kill that Lu Zhu. Muronging stood up and scoffed. Let's see if I can do it or not.
You?
Li Fan was somewhat angry. But Muronging was also a stubborn person. Once she decided on something, she would not be able to change her mind. Fuck, how did I end up with such a fiancé? Li Fan was not in a good mood. He gloomily returned to his room. After entering, Li Fan directly sat cross-legged. Ever since he broke through to the 7th level, he had not had a chance to consolidate his strength. In this case, if his strength was stronger than his state of mind, a heart demon would arise. Li Fan sat on the bed and entered the visualization world. In his visualization world, a huge divine general stood facing the sky with extraordinary momentum. On the other side, a black radiance shrouded the world, causing everything to be in darkness. Li Fan was adjusting his breath and consolidating his strength. But at this time, the calm water surface slowly moved and a ripple spread out. At this time, a figure slowly emerged from the water surface and appeared in front of Li Fan. This figure was not someone else. He was very familiar. Mr. Yang? Li Fan was very surprised to see him. How could it be you? I'm not Mr. Yang.
I'm you.
This Mr. Yang's figure changed, and in a blink of an eye, he turned into Li Fan. I am you, the deepest desire in your heart. The other Li Fan looked over and said slowly, you should take a good look at yourself. The life you're living now is not what you want. In the darkness, Li Fan slowly said, I know what I want.
You don't have to tell me.
As soon as Li Fan's voice fell, the dark version had already arrived in front of him. At the same time, he stretched out his hand and poked Li Fan's forehead with 2 fingers. Li Fan frowned. He felt his body instantly distort. In the blink of an eye, he entered a new world. The world was dark and gloomy. Li Fan wore a black and white imperial coat and sat on top of a tall building. This place was already in ruins. There was no sign of human habitation. Li Fan just sat quietly on the roof and looked into the distance.
Li Fan.
You devil, today is the day you die. Suddenly, a roar came from below. Downstairs, more than 10 martial artists walked over.
Oh?
There are still some fish that escaped the net? Li Fan smiled. I thought that almost everyone in this world had been killed by me. Bastard, you devil. We must kill you. More than 10 martial artists pulled out their respective weapons. These people's martial arts were not ordinary. All of them had reached the peak of martial arts. They used qinggong, stuck to the wall, and rushed towards a roof. But Li Fan did not even have the intention to stand up. He just waved his hand. His finger was like a sword as he threw out a sword aura. Puff. A few martial artists' bodies were directly split into 2 by Li Fan and fell to the ground. The remaining martial artists had already jumped in front of Li Fan. The leading woman held a long sword in her hand and stabbed towards Li Fan's eyes. Martial arts has declined. Li Fan sighed. With a flick of his finger, the sword broke into a few pieces. With a push of his palm, the broken sword flew out and pierced through the throats of the remaining martial artists. All the martial artists were killed by Li Fan. He closed his eyes and took a deep breath. This is much more comfortable. The city was like a wilderness with a wind of death blowing. Just at this moment, a shout came from the sky.
Li Fan.
Look at what you have done. Li Fan opened his eyes and saw Moro Ying's figure descending from the sky. Countless pink cherry blossom petals floated down and rolled towards Li Fan. Finally here, Li Fan smiled. Let's see who is better. Chapter 711. The 2 of them threw themselves at each other, each displaying a fatal move. Li Fan woke up with a start and found himself sitting in the practice room, covered in cold sweat. What was going on just now? What did I see? Did I fall asleep while practicing and have a nightmare? Li Fan was sweating profusely and felt that something was wrong. Was this dream a sign of something? Li Fan was a little confused. He just felt that it was very unbelievable. Everything in the dream was too real. Just when Li Fan was puzzled, his phone suddenly rang. It was a call from Lu Xinan. Li Fan looked out of the window and saw that the sky was getting brighter. Why was Lu Xinan looking for him so early in the morning? Li Fan, come out and get ready to go. He picked up the phone and heard Lu Xinan's familiar urging voice. This lass had always been an impatient person. She was always impatient in everything she did.
Go.
Yes, Daming's treasure. Lu Xinan explained, I've cracked the code and got the map.
We can go now. Hey.
This is too sudden. I'm not ready yet.
Sudden my ass.
I sent you a message 2 days ago to remind you, okay? 2 days ago. Li Fan opened his phone and found that he had indeed received a message from Lu Xinan 2 days ago. That's not right. I didn't see this message 2 days ago. When Li Fan took a closer look, he immediately broke out in a cold sweat.
Damn it.
I've been meditating for 2 whole days. 1 day in the cave was like 1,000 years in the world. Li Fan looked at the table. Sure enough, there was some food on it. Tai Zhu would probably send him new food every day on time, but he had not woken up to eat it. For a martial artist, closed-door training was a common thing. Once an inner force expert entered a meditative state, it was not a big problem for him to not eat or drink for a few days and nights. But now that he had woken up, Li Fan felt his stomach rumbling. He was indeed starving. "All right, wait for me downstairs. I'll be right back." Li Fan looked out of the window. As expected, Lu Xinan's car was parked outside the courtyard. As Li Fan wolfed down his food, he sent a message to Ling Tian to arrange for someone to wait for him at Fifan Escort Agency. Li Fan had a feeling that this trip was filled with hidden dangers. His eyelids kept twitching when he was eating.
Ba.
Li Fan thought to himself, I need to find a professional to dig up people's graves. The devil incarnate had done a lot of fighting in the past. Let him join in. Also, call Subhoodie along. If there really is a zombie or something like that, it'd be good to have this monk chant some scriptures. Li Fan hurriedly finished his meal and was about to open the door to leave. But the gold and silver swordsmen were standing outside the door. The two extended their hands and blocked Li Fan's path. What's the meaning of this? Li Fan's face immediately darkened. I'm sorry. Eldest Miss ordered that without her permission, son-in-law is not allowed to leave. The gold and silver swordsmen spoke in unison. Their voices were in sync, as if they were one person. The two of them were of one mind and looked at Li Fan with unfriendly gazes. It seems that the two of you don't have a good memory. Li Fan calmed down and looked at them indifferently. Do you think you can stop me with just the two of you? Son-in-law, the two of us practice the gold and silver swords. Once we unleash our full power, we can ascend to godhood and slay ghosts. The two of them replied in a neither servile nor overbearing manner. Li Fan smiled. All right. Come, let me see how the two of you ascend to godhood and slay ghosts. With that, Li Fan took a step forward. Son-in-law, if you take another step forward, don't blame us for being impolite. Li Fan took another step forward. Gold and silver swords. The gold and silver swordsmen immediately unsheathed the swords on their backs. Intertwining with each other, they instantly shot in front of Li Fan. The speed of the two swords was as fast as bullets. It was indeed amazing. If it was an ordinary martial fighter facing this bullet-like flying sword, they would indeed be hit. But the two of them encountered Li Fan. The speed of the two swords slowed down a lot in Li Fan's eyes. Moreover, Li Fan just stretched out his hand and pressed it in front of his body. A huge amount of true qi instantly acted on the pair of gold and silver swords. The two swords immediately became obedient and directly hovered in front of Li Fan. With a shake of his palm, the swords tore the sleeves of the gold and silver swordsmen and stabbed into the wall behind them. The gold and silver swordsmen stood there in a daze, somewhat unable to believe their eyes. Go back and tell your miss that I'm going out to do something. At least 3 to 5 days, at most a month. If I don't come back, help me collect my corpse and burn some joss paper. Li Fan's trip this time was extremely dangerous, and he had already mentally prepared himself. After he dealt with the gold and silver swordsmen, he went downstairs and opened the door. A row of throwing knives nailed in front of his feet. Tian, dressed in a man's outfit, squatted on the electric pole in the courtyard, holding a throwing knife in her hand and staring at Li Fan like a tiger watching its prey. You just dealt with a pair of twins, and now you have a schizophrenic? Li Fan raised his head to look at Tian and muttered, Bastard. Who's the schizophrenic? Anyway, it's not me. Li Fan shrugged his shoulders. Last time I asked you to track Song Fuya. Did you get any results? This, Tian was stumped for a moment. Last time when she chased after Song Fuya, that woman was extremely cunning. She borrowed a substitute and escaped, successfully getting rid of her pursuit. She blushed when she said it out loud, and a proud person like Tian was naturally too embarrassed to tell Li Fan. You even claim to be a servant of the Morong family, but you can't even do such a small thing. Li Fan's mockery made Tian unable to accept it. This is not a task that Miss gave me. If it is a task that Miss gave me, I will naturally do my best to complete it.
Don't give me that.
This was originally done to help your young Mississippi song fue plotted against your miss, so she is her enemy. Catching her will naturally be the same as avenging your Mississippi. You see, this is all Miss's business, but you are not doing your best at all. Tian was unable to refute Li Fan's words, and her face was flushed with anxiety. Okay, take your time to think, I'm leaving. Li Fan walked towards the courtyard, and Tian threw out a row of flying daggers. Li Fan waved his hand, and the large number of flying daggers were all nailed to the tree next to him. Do you not need money for your flying daggers? Li Fan looked at the densely packed flying daggers nailed to the tree, and could not help but frown. Humph, these are just small amounts of money. I'll let you see my godly skill of flying daggers. Tian grabbed a large number of flying daggers, as if she was going to play some tricks. But at this moment, a breeze blew past, brushing against Tian's cheek. She could not help but sneeze. Almost in an instant, Tian let down her hair, jumped down from the pole, and stood beside Li Fan. Chapter 712. Li Fan, where are you going? When Tian opened her mouth, her voice was so sweet that it could kill a person. Compared to her previous self, it was like heaven and earth. Li Fan was speechless. A sneeze can change a person's personality so much. This change between male and female, it should only be the personality. If other areas changed, it would be too fucked up. Thinking of this, Li Fan glanced at Tian's skirt. This girl really knows how to choose clothes. She chose a panty skirt, preparing to use it when she transforms. You really don't have a problem here. Li Fan pointed to his head and asked Tian. There's a problem here? Tian looked at Li Fan with some puzzlement. Tian doesn't understand what Li Fan means. That is, you really don't know? I don't know. Tian looked at Li Fan very seriously. She suddenly understood something and clapped her hands. Li Fan, have you seen my brother? Your brother? Yes, my brother. Tian was very serious. My brother is called Xingchen. He's a bit serious and a little stubborn. My brother looks like me, and he's liked Miss since childhood, so he'll be fierce to the men around Miss. If he makes you angry, you must forgive him. His character is a bit stubborn, but he's a good person. Li Fan's forehead was full of black lines. This Tian. She can't be thinking of my other personality as a real person, right? Have you seen your brother? Yes, he was here just now, but I don't know where he went. Tian's answer made Li Fan a bit crazy. This girl was really hopeless. Why are all the people around Morong like this? Is this girl a Chinibu? Let's not talk about this. Li Fan, where are you going? I'll accompany you. Tian said. Eldest Miss asked me to keep an eye on you, so wherever big brother Li Fan goes, I'll go. The place I'm going to is very dangerous. It's okay. Tian can protect herself. Tian pulled open her coat, revealing the rows of flying daggers inside. The family's flying daggers are unrivaled in the world. They're very powerful. Li Fan said, the family's flying dagger is so powerful, but I still defeated him. Then come with me. Although he had a little follower who could explode at any time, in order to make Morong feel at ease, Li Fan still decided to bring Tian with him. Morong Ying's whereabouts were unknown. Early in the morning, she and Tai Zhu both disappeared. Li Fan pushed open the door of the courtyard and saw Lu Xinan sitting in the car. Obviously, she had been waiting anxiously. The bodyguard, Yufeng, stood by the side and opened the door of the Bentley for Li Fan. Li Fan brought Tian into the car and sat opposite of Lu Xinan. At this time, Lu Xinan was wearing a comfortable sports attire. Her left leg was gently pressing against her right leg. She held a glass of champagne in her hand and looked at Li Fan with interest. You made me wait for so long just to bring a girl for me to see? Of course not. What are you thinking? Li Fan hurriedly introduced. This is Tian from the Flying Dagger family. She's my fiancé's henchman. Hello, sister. You're really pretty. The younger version of Tian's mouth was as sweet as honey. Her first sentence made Lu Xinan smile like a flower. It's okay. Sister is also a beauty. As the saying goes, one doesn't hit a smiling person. When Tian showed off, Lu Xinan also became polite. Let's go to Fifan Escort Agency first. I still have a few people to bring along. This mission is not suitable for too many people. Lu Xinan reminded Li Fan. Don't worry. They're all elites. Li Fan gave Lu Xinan a reassuring look. Otherwise, I wouldn't bring them along. That's good. Lu Xinan knew that Li Fan was not a person who did not know his limits. Since he had decided to bring along people, they should be suitable. The car drove all the way to Fifan Escort Agency. On the way, Li Fan enjoyed the champagne in Lu Xinan's car and taught Tian. Tian, the flying daggers of the family seemed to have some limitations. Tian was a little surprised. What limitations? The flying daggers of the family are very skillful and admirable. Li Fan thought of the few times he had sparred with Tian and could not help but praise her. But killing in a martial arts competition is not just about skills. I was inspired by the fight with the gold and silver swords today. I think you should practice your flying daggers according to their style. Oh. Tian was a little puzzled. She did not know what Li Fan meant. It's very simple. Just 2 points. Fast and ruthless. Fast, accurate, and ruthless.
These are the basics.
No. It's far from enough. Li Fan reminded Tian. One day, when your flying daggers are faster and fiercer than bullets, you, Tian, will be able to do whatever you want in Jianghu. But how can a person's flying daggers be faster than bullets? Practice. Li Fan said, you have great potential. I believe you can do it. I'll try. Thank you, brother Li Fan. Although she did not know if what Li Fan said would work, Tian was still grateful. I think you're talking nonsense. Lu Xinan put down her goblet and rolled her eyes at Li Fan. No matter how powerful a person is, can a flying dagger be faster than bullets? You don't believe me? Li Fan reached out his hand and took out a flying dagger from Tian's bosom. This flying dagger was only half a palm long. The word was engraved on the blade. At the end of the dagger was a hollow ring with a black cherry tassel tied to it. Not to mention flying daggers, Li Fan even used his true qi as a bullet. Li Fan rolled down the window. There was a motorcycle gang outside the car. He took the bag from the woman next to him and rode away. Li Fan's hand shook. The true qi impacted the flying dagger. The flying dagger flew out and instantly burst the front tire of the motorcycle. The motorcycle flipped over, throwing the thief away and making him fall to the ground. Lu Xinan was dumbfounded. Inconceivable. This is the effect of true qi. Li Fan said, letting the true qi imitate the barrel of a gun and instantly shoot the flying dagger. Not to mention bullets, I can even let the true qi imitate the shell and create the effect of firing a cannon. Li Fan, you're simply godly. Lu Xinan looked at Li Fan as if she was looking at an alien. It's nothing. Li Fan said modestly, there's always someone better than me. There are many masters in the world who are more powerful than me. In order to catch up with them, I must become stronger. Li Fan faintly felt that sooner or later, he and that old dog, Bo, would have a battle. Chapter 713. Bo's birthday was approaching. Even Tian reminded Li Fan that it was best to rush back before Bo's birthday. However, Li Fan actually had his own thoughts. It was best if he couldn't rush back. Great Ming's treasure? When Tian heard about Li Fan's goal, she couldn't help but be a little puzzled. Does this place really exist? Of course, I spent a lot of money to hire a large number of experts to help me crack it. Lu Xinan rolled her eyes. These idiots. It took so long to locate the final coordinates. I'm really sorry for the price I gave them. Where is the approximate location? Li Fan couldn't help but ask. Here. Lu Xinan opened the computer in the car, opened the map, and then pointed on it. When Li Fan saw it, he was a little surprised because the location Lu Xinan drew was above the South China Sea. Damn, it's actually here? During the Ming Dynasty, shipping was developed. The dragon boats we built could already go to the Western Ocean, let alone the small South China Sea. Lu Xinan pointed to this place. The Great Ming's treasure is very likely buried here. This place should belong to the controversial area. Li Fan remembered that the Spratly Islands were here. Controversial? What's there to argue about? This place belongs to our ancestors. In the past, Li Fan knew that Lu Xinan was an out-and-out patriot. When I have money, I'll buy an island, train a group of troops, and kill all those Filipino mercenaries. What you said, are you patriotic or treason? When Li Fan heard this, he didn't know whether to laugh or cry. I do have this idea. Lu Xinan was still very serious. When the time comes, I'll buy a small island and make myself a king. Let me think. What should I make you? I'll reluctantly become an emperor. Get out of here. Lu Xinan was almost angered to death. You bastard. When the time comes, I'll make you a city enforcement officer. Sure. Give me another 3,000 underlings then, and I guarantee that you'll have no worries in the South Sea. Li Fan laughed and said confidently, causing Lu Xinan to roll her eyes. Creating a kingdom on a small island sounds like fun. Tian was fascinated by the story. I want to go too. All right, I'll work hard. After I buy the island, I'll make my sister a general or something. Okay. The two women chatted with each other, leaving Li Fan aside. Damn, the two of them are really in a good mood. Li Fan listened to their whimsical ideas. In the end, they even assigned the armies of the sea, land, and air. Just as Lu Xinan was about to confer the title of a national mage, the car had already arrived at the phenomenal escort agency. Fifan Escort Agency already had a beautiful office building, and the receptionist girls were all beauties. It was very attractive. However, Li Fan did not go upstairs to flirt with the girls and enjoy the privileges of an overbearing president. The devil incarnate, Wang Tofu, and Beauty were already waiting for him downstairs. The two sat in a Wrangler driven by Sun Qingchen, who was also participating in the mission. How about I sit in that car? Looking at the newly bought Wrangler, Li Fan was a little envious. Just sit there obediently. Lu Xinan rolled her eyes at Li Fan. Isn't my car good? It's not wild enough. If you want it wild, I'll send you a few Wranglers later.
Don't.
I'm just saying. Li Fan was still muttering. Lin Yuan is so generous to actually approve them to buy such an extravagant car. Wrangler cost $500,000, which was a lot of money for a company that was still developing and carrying a huge burden like the Special Abilities Bureau. The devil incarnate and the others had just finished adjusting their communicators. When they heard Li Fan's question, the devil incarnate laughed. That stingy brat Lin. How could she approve it? I snatched this car from a second-generation rich kid. Snatched? Li Fan frowned. Since when did Fifan Escort Agency become a bandit's nest? Boss, what are you thinking about? The devil incarnate hurriedly explained. Wasn't it a few days ago? I was flirting with a girl at a nightclub and met a stupid second-generation rich kid. That guy said I snatched his girl and fought with me, but I beat him down in a few moves. Later, he was unhappy and made a bet with me, saying that if I could knock over his bodyguard, he would give me his car. If I can't, I'll leave a finger. His bodyguard? Is he powerful? He's powerful. Fuck, he looks like a special forces soldier. Then you can beat him. I can't, so I asked Beauty to beat him. Fuck, you can do that. What's wrong with that? He didn't say that I can't ask for help. Anyway, I won, and he lost his car to me. Li Fan pondered for a moment and exchanged a look with Lu Xinan. From Lu Xinan's eyes, he confirmed his thoughts and then said to the devil incarnate, "You only know how to fool around, but have you ever thought that if the other party is a second-generation rich kid, why does he only drive a Wrangler that costs $500,000? Boss, I know what you mean. The other party might have a powerful background. Although the devil incarnate was a gangster, he was not a simple-minded person. Only the second-generation rich kids of officials, because they can't touch luxury cars, would like to drive less popular cars. It's not that I haven't thought about this, so I've been very low-key these 2 days. Other than going out with Lei and Beauty to expiate the female benefactors, I've done nothing else." "Okay, be careful." Li Fan was afraid that these people would cause trouble, especially Huang Lei and the devil incarnate. Between the two of them, one had no resistance to women, and the other was a troublemaker. When the two of them were together, they could definitely poke a hole in the sky. Right, boss, these few days, a new private bank opened opposite our company. I observed that they send cars out twice a day. I guess there's a small vault under it, responsible for sending money to other branches. This guy smiled. "Boss, we haven't done illegal work for a long time. Why don't we do it?" The company's capital chain had indeed been tight. The devil incarnate's suggestion really moved Li Fan.
But only for a while.
"Don't mess around. Robbing a bank is a big case. Do you want to die?" "Big brother, foreign banks are also full of dirty money," the devil incarnate said. "Ordinary people who would have money to save there. Let's talk about it later." Li Fan waved his hand. Although he had done a lot of illegal work in the past, he had, after all, cleaned up his identity. He did not want to touch these things anymore. "All right, I hope I can get some gold this time." Knowing that this time they were going to dig for treasures, the devil incarnate was more or less interested. "Calm down. Don't cause trouble for the boss." Sun Qingchen usually did not like to talk. Hearing the devil incarnate nagging, he could not help but scold him. The devil incarnate seemed to be a little afraid of this short driver. He scratched his head and retorted, "Why are you scolding me? If not, who else? Look at Beauty, so quiet." Beauty was currently holding a book and was engrossed in it. A master is a master, learning Dharma when he has nothing to do. You should learn from him.
Fuck.
He's reading Young Married Woman. Chapter 714. Sun Qingchen did not speak, but Subhuti raised his head and said seriously, "Amitabha, this little monk is studying the mortal world. The female benefactor in the book is too evil. It is a pity that this poor monk has no fate to meet her, otherwise I will do my best to enlighten her." "You better fuck yourself." The Demon King was speechless. "You perverted monk, you have the cheek to say such words. Aren't you afraid of being struck by lightning?" "Amitabha, the heart of Buddha is myriad. What this poor monk sees in these female benefactors is dharma and hope. What you see is skin and flesh, a transaction which should not be done. Why don't you learn more dharma from this poor monk and cleanse your filthy heart? Get the hell out of here." The Demon King nearly laughed in anger. Li Fan heard their conversation through the communicator and was silent for a while before saying, "I know a pretty girl, also called Bai Jia.
Amitabha.
Can this poor monk have the fortune to get to know her and is willing to discuss Dharma with her?" "That won't do. This Bai Jia is not that Bai Jia." Li Fan expressed his helplessness. "That Bai Jia that you want to discuss Dharma with is just a fictional character in the book. Don't take it too seriously." Sigh. "You guys don't understand this poor monk's pursuit. If I don't enter hell, who will? Enter your sister. You are more spirited than anyone else when talking about these." The Demon King reprimanded Subhuti. "Haven't I brought you to many places in the past? You bastard, you still believe in Buddha? That's too evil." The Demon King seemed to have mentioned something sad, causing Li Fan to be interested and asked, "What happened? Come, tell me. It's not poisonous." "Boss, you don't know. Last time, Lei found a new place and brought the two of us to play. You also know Lei's taste. He chose a 180 kilograms girl to resist the pressure, leaving the two of us. After choosing for a long time, we finally chose a young girl who just debuted in the 90s. She is really tender. I heard that she just came to work for a day. She is really a tender virgin. And then I decided to go with my style and let that bastard sub-hoodie go first. I went in for 2 hours, and when I came out, I asked for the girl's time, but she told me that she wanted to turn over a new leaf and quit this line of work. How wise. It's all because of that bastard Pewdie. After he had his fill, he felt that the girl was still too young. After persuading her for an hour, he convinced her to turn over a new leaf.
Amit Ba.
This penniless monk is also doing good. It's not worth mentioning. It's not worth mentioning. Good my ass. You're happy doing it yourself, but you don't let others do it. You perverted monk. You're too wicked. That girl is too young. Doing those things with her is a sin. This penniless monk is also thinking for your sake. Then what did you do? If I don't go to hell, who will? Get lost. Li Fan almost died of laughter when he heard that. They were indeed a few clowns. Most importantly, after I came out, Lei sympathized with me very much and even wanted to introduce his girl to me. Damn it, who can stand that taste of his? That waist is as thick as a water tank. Oh my God. The devil's incarnation grumbled all sorts of complaints. He kept muttering that he had met the wrong person. However, Li Fan kept laughing. The three of them were really the same, the three perverted brothers. In this fiefin escort agency, only the three of them had the best taste. Occasionally, they would bring a few of their subordinates to have some fun and liberate themselves. As for the others, Guan Wenbao was strict with himself and would definitely not join in. As for Yan Kai, he had never shown any interest in women. Ling Tian also did not seem to have much interest in prostitution. He felt that it was not safe. The others were all women, so they were even less interested in such things. Therefore, when the three of them got together, the story was really exciting. Speaking of which, boss, are we going to beat up the Filipino maids this time? The devil's incarnation suddenly asked the main topic. It said that Miss Liu has strong connections. This time, I brought my 38 stances as well. It's all thanks to Miss Liu's help. Don't worry, I'll take care of the weapons. Liu Xinan said, we're taking a private route.
No one will check.
She introduced the route. We'll go all the way to the port in Liaoning, and then take a boat straight to Nansha. Ayaya, Miss Liu is indeed resourceful. It's all right, but we're not going to beat up the Filipino maids. We're going to hunt for treasures. Liu Xinan said, but if we encounter some ignorant Filipino maids, we have to let them see how we Chinese treat our guests. That's a must. The devil's incarnation agreed immediately. The destination we're going to this time is a relatively large island city called Zhenghe Island. Legend has it that Zheng He once secretly went to this island and established himself as a king, establishing a country. Whether history is true or not, there's no way to verify it. But this island still remains, and there's a relatively chaotic small kingdom on it. A chaotic small kingdom? Yes, there are two regimes fighting against each other. I heard that it's quite chaotic. Liu Xinan nodded, but it shouldn't be that exaggerated. I just heard it from hearsay. It's all Chinese territory. Don't we have troops stationed there? Li Fan couldn't help but ask. In the South China Sea, there are as many small islands as there are hairs on an ox. How can we manage all of them? Liu Xinan smiled. If there was a People's Liberation Army stationed there, these small regimes wouldn't have the chance to act presumptuously. Well, I think it's just a small fight. Li Fan didn't take it too seriously. This thought persisted until they landed on the island. Tian was very quiet along the way, as if she was still studying the new skills that Li Fan had taught her. The car drove all the way to Liaoning, and arrived at a dock. The two cars were brought to a cruise ship by crane. Li Fan and the others sat on this cruise ship and arrived at the island called Xinghe Island in the South China Sea. The person in charge of receiving them was a local Chinese man named Li Jiwen. He wasn't tall, and his skin was a little tanned. He was a very enthusiastic young man. "Director Liu, you've been waiting for a long time. Please, please." The devil's incarnation and the others were standing on the dock, smoking when Li Jiwen came up to them with a smile on his face. "Let's go to the hotel." Lu Xinan and Li Jiwen should also have an employer-employee relationship. Her attitude towards him was very strong. "Okay, Director Liu. Let's go." Li Jiwen took the initiative to replace Yu Feng and sat in the driver's seat. Recently, Xinghe Island has been very sunny. It's a good place to travel. Director Liu, you really came at the right time.
Oh,
Didn't you say that the situation here has been turbulent recently? Lu Xinan sat in the back and raised her eyebrows. It's just a small fight. It's not worth mentioning. Li Jiwen waved his hand. At this time, a pickup truck suddenly rushed into the dock. There was a Gatling gun on it. A black man stood on it with a red scarf tied around his head. He was chasing and firing at a motorcycle. Chapter 715. The motorcycle fled frantically, and the truck rampaged behind it. The Gatling guns spewed out angry flames, and bullets rained down on the ground. The two cars, one in front and one behind, quickly rushed out from the other side of the dock. When Li Fan saw this scene, he could not help but swallow his saliva. The devil's incarnation and the others were about to go crazy, and they kept cursing in the communication channel. "Fuck, this is fucking fine weather, a small fight? This is the daily struggle between the government army and the rebel army. It's nothing, just get used to it." Li Jiwen looked like he was used to it. "The government army, the rebel army?" Li Fan asked, "Can you tell me a little about the situation here?" After all, they were going to stay in this place for a while, so Li Fan decided to find out more. "There are a total of 2 regimes on our island. The previous old government was overthrown, and now the new government is in power, collectively known as the government army." Li Jiwen explained as he drove. "This government army is supported by the Filipino mercenaries, so they are stronger. After the old government was overthrown, some of the people from before joined forces and rebelled against the current new government. These people became the rebel army. The rebel army has no support, so they are not as strong as the government army." "I see." Li Fan nodded. "Those Filipino mercenaries are very ambitious, and they want to mess up our territory. They have the energy." Lu Xinan's words were reasonable, and our country is vast, and there are too many things to manage. How can we care about this kind of small place? "That's true. Boss, should we play with them?" The devil's incarnation was afraid of chaos. "I think this place is not bad. Why don't we take it down and use it as our base?" "Fuck, calm down." Li Fan quickly tried to persuade the devil's incarnation. "No matter what, this is China's territory. Even if we take down this place and develop well, the Chinese government can take it back with just a word from them. At that time, can we still go against China?" "That seems to make sense." "That's true." Li Fan reminded the devil incarnate. "Calm down. Don't get involved in the political fight here. We're here to look for something, not to fight. Remember that." "Got it, boss." The devil incarnate had no choice but to obediently sit in the car, wiping his .38 rifle over and over again, taking great care of it. "We are almost at the hotel," Li Jiwen said. "The place arranged for Director Liu is our famous 7-star hotel. The security here was absolutely top-notch. Don't worry, it's very safe." What would a 7-star safe hotel look like? Li Fan was really looking forward to it. When they arrived, their jaws almost dropped. The so-called 7-star hotel had a total of 3 floors, and the specifications were similar to the guest houses in China. However, this small building was surrounded by a circle of 10 meters high walls. 4 turrets were erected in 4 different directions, and there were guards patrolling on top of them. Holy shit, this kind of place is really safe. On the rooftop of the hotel, there was an anti-aircraft cannon and two anti-aircraft missile systems. This place was truly a fortress. I'm convinced. When the devil incarnate saw this place, he couldn't help but want to give a thumbs up. Holy shit, it's as good as a Chinese prison. It's just a small measure of protection, and it's also for the safety of our distinguished guests. Li Jiwen explained, those politicians of the new government, in order to pull up their political achievements, decided to engage in tourism. This way, at least the safety of the tourists can be effectively guaranteed. It's indeed effective. Li Fan muttered in his heart, this kind of small place is really noisy. As the saying goes, a small temple has a big wind, and there are many turtles in a shallow pond. Director Liu, the ship that you booked is ready, and it can set sail tonight. Do you want to rest for a night and set off in the day, or leave at night? Li Jiwen asked. Let's leave tonight. Lu Xinan was also a fiery woman. A long night is fraught with dreams. I don't want any variables. All right, then I'll pick you up at night. Li Jiwen was very polite. Everyone, have a good time. Oh, right. When I'm not around, don't go out, otherwise it'll easily cause some unnecessary trouble. And got it. Lu Xinan didn't want any side issues to arise, so she agreed to Li Jiwen's request. Go back and rest. We'll gather again at night. After Lu Xinan sent Li Jiwen out, she instructed a few people who were accompanying her. And it just so happens that I'm also tired. I'll take a nap. Li Fan entered his room, and sure enough, it's no different from the guest house. The so-called 7-star hotel. The bed is still 2 military beds put together. Li Fan Gidge, I'm in the next room. If there's anything, remember to call me. Got it. Rest first. I'm afraid tonight will be torturous. As soon as Li Fan finished speaking, he felt that his words were ambiguous. Fortunately, Tian still has the temperament of a little girl, relatively pure, and didn't hear the other meaning. Lu Xinan is different. This girl is an old hand. After giving Li Fan a hard look, she also returned to her room. Everyone returned to their own room, and Li Fan sat on the creaking military bed and began to meditate. Only the devil incarnate is unable to stay idle. He, Beauty, and Sun Qingchen are staying in a 3-person room. He tossed and turned on the bed, continuously tossing and turning, causing Sun Qingchen to frown. Are you sick? Can't you obediently lie down for a while? Old Sun, I saw a few girls on the way here. They look pretty good. This island's feng shui is good. It's good for people. The devil incarnate said to Sun Qingchen.
Good my ass.
Each and every one of them is dark and skinny, like a monkey, so ugly. Sun Qingchen rolled his eyes. What kind of aesthetic is that? It's getting closer and closer to Lei's. In the future, don't play with him so much. Hey, who are you insulting, whose aesthetic is close to his? The devil incarnate felt deeply humiliated. Is that the human's aesthetic? I see that these girls are indeed not bad, although they are a bit dark. That small waist, long legs, one look, and I can tell that they will live well. The devil incarnate starts to urge Sun Qingchen. Look, it's not easy for us to come to this island. Why don't we take the opportunity to experience the local customs here? You just want to test the depth of the girls here, right? Sun Qingchen ridiculed without hesitation. Damn, you old Sun are awesome. You are a monk who doesn't eat the food of the mortal world. The devil incarnate curled his lips. Right now, I will bring this fake monk to have a taste of the meat here. Amiba, this poor monk is a real monk. Beauty emphasized by the side. Then are you going or not? Naturally. Chapter 716. Sun Qingchen also abided by the rules. He basically wouldn't eat on the day before the mission, in case he lost his energy and got distracted. But the devil's incarnation and Subhoodie do not care about this. The two of them encouraged each other and sneaked out of the 7-star guest house during the break. Are we driving or taking a taxi? Subhoodie asked after leaving the house. This matter needs to be low-key. Let's take a taxi. The devil's incarnation looked at the street full of pickup trucks and minivans. He felt that driving a Wrangler is a bit too high profile. The two of them stood at the entrance of the hotel and hailed a passing van. Most of the vans here are China's godly cars, Wuling Hongguang. This kind of minivans can be called the MVP type of fighter jet. It is very cost-effective and is very popular on this island. Placing a yellow taxi billboard on the roof of the silver van, the street is filled with this kind of taxi. Moreover, the people on this island mainly speak Chinese. The driver rolled down the window and looked at the devil's incarnation duo and asked with a pure Chinese accent, "Two big brothers, do you want to get in? Let's go." The devil's incarnation did not say anything and opened the door and brought Sub Hoodie into the car. "Where are we going, big brother?" The driver started the car, and the van swayed a few times before slowly moving on. "Where's there fun here?" You two came at the right time. Recently, we've been working on that so-called tourist city. A few days ago, we planned a cultural park. Do you want to go there? Forget about the park. The devil's incarnation said more specifically, "We want to go to a place where men play." Why didn't you say so earlier? If you said so earlier, I would know. The driver laughed. "Okay, I will bring you two to a place. I guarantee it will be fun. You won't trick us, right?" The devil's incarnation patted his 38 style. "This thing of mine is not to be trifled with. Big brother, you're so funny." The driver picked up a shotgun from the side and threw it on the front passenger seat. Who doesn't carry this thing for self-defense? Besides, don't you believe me? Just listen to my accent, and you will know that I am Dongbei-in. Our Gada is very practical. Why did Dongbei-in come here? It's because I can't stay in my hometown anymore. He wanted to leave the country and explore the outside world. I didn't expect my family to be so fucking big. I ran so far away, and I'm still within the borders of the country. But it's pretty good here. At least I can live freely. As soon as the driver finished speaking, a siren suddenly sounded from behind. They looked back and saw a pickup truck behind them. A man with a red bandana was holding a Gatling gun and aiming it at them. "Holy shit, what's going on?" The devil's incarnation was taken aback. I'm sorry, big brother. Other than being a driver, I also do some part-time work for the Resistance Army. I'm guessing that the government forces have their eyes on me. But don't worry, it's nothing out of the ordinary. Don't be afraid. As he spoke, he instructed, "Please fasten your seatbelts." Just as he finished speaking, the accelerator was already pressed to the floor. The two of them felt their bodies shake violently. Next, their backs seemed to be pushed by someone as they leapt forward along with the car. "This Wuling Hongguang can push back? Are you kidding me?" The driver drove this Huaxia godly car and fled frantically on the road. The pickup truck following behind was also a godly car produced by the Great Wall of China. It was sturdy and durable. The machine gunner grabbed the Gatling gun and fired at the Wuling Hongguang in front of them. The bullets were fired wildly, as if they were free. Many of the cars behind them were hit by the unexpected disaster. They were knocked over, and a few of the cars even exploded. The pickup truck continued to charge forward, chasing after the van. The driver drove unhurriedly and nimbly into a small alley on the side. "Don't be afraid. The government forces are a bunch of idiots. They're rookies. They drive like pussies." As the driver spoke, he knocked over a few trash cans at the side and went to the other side of the alley. The pickup truck was slightly wide, and the alley seemed to be very difficult to pass through. It made a turn at the entrance of the alley and went around from the other side.
Fuck.
"You guys are playing at life and death speed. Can you not bring us along?" The devil's incarnation almost vomited from the shaking. "Let us out of the car." "That won't do. I am a person with principles," the driver said firmly. "For more than 20 years, I have been sending my customers to the places they want to go, rain or shine. Fuck, if we continue to drive like this, we will die. Don't worry. Leave it to me." The driver had the look of an experienced driver. He drove the van out of the alley, and the pickup truck turned from the side of the street. The driver held the steering wheel with one hand and picked up the shotgun with the other. He aimed it at the passenger window and fired a shot at the pickup truck.
Bang!
The driver of the pickup truck was sprayed into a meat paste lying on the steering wheel. The pickup truck lost control and crashed into the nearby bungalow, smashing through the wall and into the bungalow. The driver put down the shotgun, opened the glove compartment, took out a Zongnan cigarette, and slowly lit it. "Brothers, how was it? Was it exciting?" the driver asked. "Exciting. This is so exciting." The devil's incarnation was so angry that he wanted to curse. He had not even started his mission, and he almost died in this place. Why was it so dangerous to take a taxi on this island?
Amitba, calm down.
Beauty comforted the devil's incarnation. "Sir, please send us to the place as soon as possible. This poor monk can't wait to discuss Buddhism." "What do you mean by discuss Buddhism?" The driver clearly did not understand such a profound thing. "I don't understand, but we are almost there. It's just up ahead." The two of them looked in the direction the driver was pointing. There was a small yard in front of them. There was a red lantern on the yard door, and the pink color was very obvious. "Let's talk about this place. Prostitution used to be legal," the driver said, "but after the new government came to power, the taxes in this area were very tight. Many places can't continue operating, and they can't make ends meet. A few ladies' daily income isn't even enough to feed those officials. From time to time, those officials would come over and play, ruining a lady each time. Over time, most industries went bankrupt, leaving only a few hidden ones that survived in another way." The driver pointed at the courtyard gate. "You two can go in. Once you're inside, tell them that Wei San recommended you. You can get a 20% discount. Is this place okay?" "Brother, you don't believe me. The girls in this place are all the best on the island." The driver was a little agitated. "You don't believe me, do you?" Chapter 717. "I do. Of course I do." The devil's incarnation thought, "This guy is from the Northeast. He should be more honest." Then it settled. "Let me tell you, you've asked the right person. If you want to go to some high-end place, I really don't know. But if you want to ask about this kind of place, I really know best." The driver said with assurance, "On our island, this industry is very developed." Good, then let's go." The devil's incarnation was a little impatient. "Amitba, this poor monk wants to discuss the Dharma with the local female benefactors. I can't wait." Beauty put his palms together with a pious look. The devil's incarnation looked at Beauty with contempt. "Don't worry, we're almost there." The driver drove them to a shabby small hotel and stopped the car. "Right here." The driver stopped the car and said with a smile, "The girls here are very good. I guarantee that you two will be satisfied." "Okay, how much is the fare?" the devil's incarnation asked. The local currency was US dollars. They exchanged some when they got off the boat. $12. The driver pointed at the meter. "It should be $15, but considering that I took a detour to avoid the government army, I'll let you off with $3. "Okay, big brother. Thank you." The devil's incarnation took out a handful of US dollars and stuffed it into the driver's hand. The driver got on the car and left. The devil's incarnation and Beauty looked at each other. "Are we going in?" Buddha said, "I won't go to hell. Get lost." The devil's incarnation walked into the hotel. At the front desk was a woman in her 30s. Her skin was a little dark, obviously caused by the sun all year round. "You two, do you want to stay?" the woman asked.
Nope.
The devil's incarnation went straight to the point. "We're here to play with girls." The woman looked at Beauty a few more times. The devil's incarnation quickly explained, "Don't mind him. He's a fake monk." "Amitba, it doesn't matter if the world doesn't understand this poor monk. This poor monk will become a Buddha himself." Beauty muttered to himself, "Choose two beautiful girls. I want the best you have." The fiends incarnate couldn't be bothered to pay any attention to Subhoodie. "All right, big brothers, let's go upstairs to room 305. "Wait a moment, I'll let the girls go up." The The woman said with a smile, "The two big brothers really know how to find a place. Our big sisters are all prettier than the other." "Good, that's good. What I want is beauty." The devil's incarnation was filled with anticipation. Subhuti followed him upstairs. The rooms here were no different from those in the guest houses. They were most likely all 7 stars. The two of them sat on the hard sofa, waiting for the girl to come in. Not long after, there was movement outside the door. A few girls filed in and walked into the room. The fiends incarnate and Subhuti were both stunned. The quality of the girls here was simply ridiculous. The devil incarnate counted. There were a total of 8 girls, and 6 of them were over 30 years old. The other 2 were at least 50 years old. At this age, you should just stay at home and enjoy your remaining years. Don't come out to earn money. The remaining 2 were slightly younger, but their figures were Huang Lei's cup of tea. "How is it, big brothers? Our big sisters here not bad, right?" The woman also followed upstairs. "I'm also here to receive customers, but I'm the star, so the price is a little more expensive." The devil's incarnation's face was filled with black lines. Subhuti thought seriously for a moment, then pointed at a woman in her 40s and said, "This poor monk sees that this female patron is quite intelligent. This poor monk thinks that this female benefactor is quite intelligent. Why don't we have an in-depth spar?" "Sure." The woman wore heavy makeup, and the foundation on her face could block bullets. The devil's incarnation nearly vomited blood. Fuck, I didn't expect Subhuti to have such a hardcore taste. No wonder he could hang out with Huang Lei. This was really going to hell. "Big brother, which one do you choose?" After Subhuti left with the lady, the female boss turned to ask the devil's incarnation. "Forget it, I'm not playing anymore." The devil's incarnation had already understood. What honest big brother from the Northeast. He had clearly tricked them. If he wasn't wrong, the price of these girls wouldn't be low. That big brother driver from the Northeast had definitely gained a lot from them. "Motherfucker. Not playing? Since you're here, you can't not play." The female boss continued to persuade. "Are these girls not to your taste? Why don't we do this? We still have some imported goods. Do you want to try them?" "Oh, imported goods?" "Yes, pure imported goods. It's just that they're a little expensive." "Sure, bring them over to take a look." The devil's incarnation did not lack money. All he wanted was to have fun. He had come out to play, so he did not want to go back with his face covered in dirt. He often went to Russia and played with some Russian girls. They were young, tender, and beautiful. These Russians were only beautiful when they were beautiful. Once they were older, they would be unsightly. "Big brother, please wait a moment." The female boss chased the girls away and left the room. Soon, under the devil's incarnation's expectations, she brought a few girls in. Foreign girls, they were indeed foreign girls. But he did not want African girls. Looking at the few girls in front of him who were as black as charcoal, the devil's incarnation nearly cried. One of the girls even smiled sweetly at him. That mouthful of snow-white teeth almost blinded the eyes of the devil's incarnation. "Damn, are you kidding me?" The devil's incarnation was so angry that he stood up and was about to leave. But at this moment, 2 black-skinned men stood at the door, blocking the devil's incarnation's path. These 2 men even took out their pistols from their pockets. Both of them were black stars and aimed at the devil's incarnation. "You want to go out without playing? That's against our rules here." The lady boss's smile was very sweet. The devil's incarnation also smiled. "A black shop. Interesting. Friend, be tactful. Play with some girls and go out happily like that bald friend of yours." "Why not?" "I don't want to play today." "Bite me?" The devil's incarnation sneered. One of the black-skinned men immediately raised his gun and pressed it against the devil's incarnation's temple. But the devil's incarnation tilted his head to the side. At the same time, he pulled his hand and removed the magazine of the gun. At the same time, he pressed the black-skinned man's hand and fired a shot at the other black-skinned man.
Bang.
The bullet in the barrel directly hit the black-skinned man's calf. The man directly knelt on the ground. The devil's incarnation raised his foot and kicked his pistol away. At the same time, the devil's incarnation pulled open the white cloth and took out the 38 styles inside. He directly aimed at the female boss in front of him. "Look at your forehead. Do you mind if I make a big hole in it?" The female boss's body trembled slightly. She looked at the devil's incarnation in front of her in shock. Chapter 7:18. The devil's incarnation pulled the bolt as the lady boss hurriedly smiled apologetically. This, sir, let's talk this out. Talk nicely? When that brother of yours was about to attack just now, he didn't have any intention of talking nicely. The devil's incarnation chuckled. Talk nicely with me now? It's a little late, sister. Then what else do you want? The lady boss looked back and without hesitation, the devil's incarnation turned his head and fired a shot.
Bang.
The bullet blew away the brains of the black man who was about to make a move. What kind of person was the devil's incarnation? He never showed mercy when he attacked. It was unknown when the monk would come out, but the devil's incarnation decided to stabilize the situation first. Just as he was about to poach some really pretty girls from the lady boss, the door to the hotel was suddenly kicked open. More than 10 government soldiers with red headscarves swarmed in and roared the moment they entered. "There are rebels here. Take them down." An employee downstairs explained. Sir, we don't have any rebels here. Everyone is a good." Before he could finish speaking, a gunshot was heard from downstairs. "Fuck, I clearly saw a few rebel accomplices enter this hotel just now. Men, search for me." When the devil's incarnation heard this, he frowned and felt that something was amiss. 2 government soldiers had already climbed to the 3rd floor and saw the devil's incarnation standing there. "It's him. Rebel accomplices. Fire." A government soldier raised his AK-74 and fired a few shots at the devil's incarnation. The devil incarnate grabbed the lady boss and placed her in front of him, using her as a meat shield to block the bullets for him. In the blink of an eye, the lady boss's body was riddled with holes. The devil's incarnation pushed the lady boss's body to the door of room 305. Then he raised his rifle and shot a government soldier to the ground. The other government soldier jumped in fright and hurriedly hid behind the corridor. When the people downstairs heard the commotion, they ran upstairs. The devil incarnate put down his rifle and pulled out a Colt pistol from his waist. He aimed at the calf of the soldier, who was hugging the wall, and fired a shot. The bullet pierced through the soldier's calf, and the soldier rolled on the ground in pain. His life was taken away by the devil incarnate. The devil incarnate had participated in some special battles before and was a veteran through and through. He half-squatted on the ground, holding the 38 style, making his body form a scaffold. Holding a gun in this position was the most stable. As soon as a government soldier poked his head out from the stairs, he was shot to death by the devil incarnate. The demon king of confusion smiled, then gently stroked his 38 styles. He pulled the bolt, replaced the cartridge, and continued to aim at the stairs. In the end, none of the government soldiers dared to go up the stairs. Sniper. Damn it, the rebel army actually sent out a sniper. We must kill them. The government troops were shouting nonstop downstairs. Many prostitutes who showed their faces were shot dead by them. However, the devil incarnate did not care about that at all. He quietly waited on the 3rd floor and dealt with the remaining government troops. Pewdie must have been having so much fun that he did not care about what was happening here at all. He definitely heard the gunshots. The devil incarnate held his gun and waited for his next target with a heavy heart. At that moment, a tear gas grenade was thrown up. However, the devil incarnate was prepared. He pulled out a PPK from behind his waist with his left hand and raised his hand to fire. The bullet was a blank cartridge. When the bullet was fired, it did not have much penetrating power, but it directly knocked away the tear gas grenade in the distance. The tear gas grenade returned downstairs and choked the group of government troops. The devil incarnate also breathed a sigh of relief. He had cut the blank cartridge to use as a grenade, but he did not expect it to be a tear gas grenade. The government troops did not expect the devil incarnate to be so fierce, and for a moment, they were in a dilemma. However, they were the government troops after all, and they could not leave the devil incarnate alone. Soon, 5 government soldiers walked up together with their guns, ready to launch a special attack. The devil's incarnation smiled. He was already prepared. His precious Type 38 was modified. The devil incarnate pulled out the grenade launcher under the barrel, aimed at the staircase, and fired. The grenade was fired, and before the 5 government troops could react, they were blown into pieces and swallowed in flames. Damn the resistance army. Bastard. The remaining government troops almost peed their pants. There was at least a platoon of resistance army soldiers upstairs. Could this be a base of the resistance army? The government troops suddenly became a little excited. If they could get rid of this base, it would be a great achievement. Quick, call for help. Go. The government troops sent people to guard the place while looking for help to attack the base. Very soon, an armored vehicle drove over with a mortar clamped on it. The barrel was aimed at the 3rd floor. The devil incarnate looked through the window and saw the armored vehicle outside. He immediately hid in the corner by the window and aimed at the armored vehicle below. The mortar was aimed at the direction of the window, but the devil incarnate aimed at the barrel and fired.
Bang.
A shell directly exploded in the barrel. The barrel of the armored vehicle was blown into pieces. What government troops? Just SOSO. The devil incarnate curled his lips. As soon as he finished speaking, his mouth opened wide. Five armored vehicles drove over from the side, and the barrel was aimed at the devil incarnate's direction. Fuck, this is awesome. The devil incarnate almost peed his pants. Are you kidding me? Is there a need to go so far? I'm only one person, and most of my weapons were left in the hotel. How can I fight against 5 armored vehicles? At this moment, a person behind him patted the devil incarnate's shoulder. The devil incarnate turned around and saw Pewdie. Fuck, you're finally done? Amitba, the Dharma is boundless. Naturally, I had a little more discussion. As Subhoodie spoke, he glanced at the 5 armored vehicles below him. What's the situation? I've been targeted. The devil incarnate sneered. Can we go now? Sure. We can't go through the main entrance. Take me away. Sure. Subhoodie nodded, then grabbed the fiend's incarnation and leapt out of the window. 5 barrels were aimed at them at the same time, but Pewdie descended from the sky and directly stepped on an armored vehicle, immediately flattening it. The quality of this thing is not that good. Pewdie sighed. Boring. Let's go back. With that, Pewdie carried the devil incarnate and used his lightness skill to step on the vehicles on the road and quickly left. Chapter 719. As night falls, Li Fan pushes open the door and walks out. Sun Qingchen and the rest are already waiting in the suite. The devil incarnate is standing by the side, quietly checking the equipment in the waterproof bag. Subhoodie is also standing at the corner with his eyes closed. He is holding a prayer bead in his hand and seems to be chanting sutras. Boss, you're here? When Sun Qingchen sees Li Fan, he nods his head respectfully. How's the preparation? Everything has been checked. There's no problem. We can set off at any time. Sun Qingchen is also from the Special Forces. When he is here, he is in charge of the Devil Incarnate's group. This gun is not bad. The Devil Incarnate takes out an SVD and looks at it. However, it is not as good as my 38 Styles. Of course, your 38 Styles has a wonderful history. Li Fan laughs. That is something that cannot be exchanged for no matter how much money you have. Of course. Boss knows his stuff. When his precious gun is mentioned, the Devil Incarnate is extremely happy. It is as if he is talking about his beautiful wife. Li Fan even feels that in the future, The devil incarnate's lover will be this 38 styles. When I was training, did you guys cause any trouble? Li Fan suddenly asks.
How could that be?
The devil incarnate hurriedly explains. I rested for the entire afternoon and am ready to set off. Sun Qingchen does not say anything. Although he is loyal to Li Fan, as the person in charge of the devil incarnate, he cannot report everything. Sometimes, when it is something that should be shouldered, one must shoulder it. Prepare to set off. Lu Xinan pushes open the door and enters with Yufeng by her side.
Yufeng is different from the past.
Today, he is wearing a special combat uniform with an American M4A1 on his back and 2 Uzi assault rifles on his waist. Lu Xinan is also wearing a black tights with a bulletproof vest on the outside. She is holding an MP5 and a pair of custom-made glasses, a must-have on the battlefield. Damn, you are a future female warrior. Li Fan couldn't help but laugh. This woman was too awesome. It might be very dangerous tonight. I don't want to be a burden. Lu Xinan said. I really should let you meet Bai Linluo. Li Fan thought of the Sagittarius version of Lu Xinan and could not help but envy Bai Linluo's ability. Enough nonsense, let's go now. As Lu Xinan spoke, she led these people out of the hotel. I feel like there will be a tough battle tonight. The devil incarnate muttered as he carried his canvas bag and went out. Jinx. Sun Qingchen glared at the demon incarnate while the latter chuckled. Let's go, let's go. I hope nothing happens tonight. When the group of people left the hotel, they were all stunned. The outside was already surrounded by government troops. There were at least 100 of them. 6 armored vehicles cleared the way, and countless police cars surrounded the two sides. The government soldiers shone their searchlights at the hotel. They didn't dare to enter, but they didn't want to leave either. What's the situation? Lu Xinan frowned. Could it be that this mission was exposed? Impossible. This is a secret mission. It's impossible for it to be exposed. When Lu Xinan was guessing this matter, a government officer used a loudspeaker and shouted, Resistance Army, stop resisting. You have been surrounded. If you don't surrender, we will launch an attack. Resistance Army? Lu Xinan frowned even deeper. Resistance Army. They are coming out. They might be launching an attack. Prepare to fight. The officer ordered, and the government troops immediately began to prepare to attack. We don't have time to waste with these people. Let's leave this place. A total of 5 people came out. Lu Xinan no longer cared about the Bentley. She asked Yufeng to start the Wrangler, and the 5 of them sat in it. Only Li Fan grabbed the railing of the car, stepped on the pedals, and stood outside the car. The Wrangler went all out. It crashed into an armored vehicle and then fiercely rushed out. Chase them. The officer immediately ordered. These people must be the cadres of the resistance army. If they are captured, I will definitely be promoted and get rich. Perhaps I might even become the commander of this island's defense. He ordered his police cars to chase. The 6 armored vehicles in front opened up a path and followed closely behind the Wrangler. Come, let me give you a big gift. The devil incarnate rolled down the window and poked his head out with an RPG on his shoulder. This thing was prepared by Lu Xinan. Unexpectedly, before they even reached the sea, it already came in handy. The RPG spewed out flames as a missile flew out and hit an armored vehicle, overturning it. Resistance Army. What is going on? Lu Xinan sat in the car and asked again. Don't know. Perhaps they are retarded and treated us as the Resistance Army. The devil incarnate hurriedly said, These fellows are a bunch of good-for-nothings. There must be a mistake in the information. Leave it to me. Sun Qingchen's face darkened as he stared at the devil incarnate. Let me deal with these people. Sun Qingchen knew that Lu Xinan did not want to reveal Li Fan and Puti's strength too early. He opened the waterproof bag and took out a few clay bombs. Sun Qingchen looked for an opportunity and threw a clay bomb. After the clay bomb was thrown out, it stuck on the road. An armored vehicle happened to pass by. Sun Qingchen pressed the switch in his hand.
Boom.
Flames soared to the sky and sent the armored vehicle flying. When the armored vehicle landed, It pressed on another armored vehicle. The two vehicles were pressed together, blocking the road of the other vehicles. The road was not wide and was immediately blocked. The remaining police cars and armored vehicles were blocked behind, temporarily shaking off the Wrangler. What a joke! The devil incarnate exclaimed. Big Brother's son is indeed powerful. Humph. Sun Qingchen was wiping the devil incarnate's ass. He rolled his eyes, hugged an SVD, closed his eyes, and no longer said anything. Li Fan had already heard the gist of it. He stood outside the car and asked directly. Beauty, where did you guys go this afternoon?
Amitba.
We went to a place recommended by a kind-hearted big brother from the Northeast. Subhoodie said honestly, that place was filled with girls. The Fiend's incarnation and I spent some time discussing the Buddhist Dharma with them. Sure enough. Li Fan continued to ask, what happened after that? After that, the government army came and insisted that the devil incarnate is the resistance army and chased after us. Fuck. Li Fan really wanted to throw the devil incarnate out. Your grandpa. Why did you say it out loud? The devil incarnate stared at Beauty, wanting to cry, but having no tears. A monk does not lie. Fuck your grandpa. A monk does not lust after women. You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.